on your Facebook.
Yeah, it's probably mine.
They could see it, and they I have the YouTube link, and then I get to say the handsome James Sherman. And see, yeah. Let me start off by just saying, for those that don't know this man, I'm in love with you, man. I mean that sincerely, and I have no qualms letting people know. Sometimes I have people on the show that are going for something, not only office or product or service. Say whether I'm in or not, I keep it. I'm like just neutral. I will. After the show gets going, I'm in, man. I'm voting Sherman.
Oh man, well I appreciate. It's awesome having me here. And before we get started, do you mind if I just give a few shout out? An uncle in Philadelphia. I know you guys are tuning in. Thanks for all your support, mom, dad, my brothers, and my wife and daughter and mother-in-law and all my extended family. Thank you all for all your support, and thank you Flagler Beach, and to all the people I work with at Denver Drill that have been supporting me and allowing me a little bit of flexibility in my schedule. I really appreciate y'all really doing this. And Chenzo, I'm forever indebted to you for letting me get my message out there. And March 8th is right around the corner, so I really appreciate this.
It's coming. Well, the pleasure's been mine, and I mean that sincerely, because obviously I live off of word of mouth, and you did come to me to help you with your digital footprint. I'll be very honest with you, man. There's a lot of people that do come to me, and I may not necessarily believe in what they believe. I might not even use the product they use, but I stay, once again, quiet because I have to make a living. In your case, I'm really thrilled to see what your tenacity, your hunger, and your drive for our home. And we were just had a little quick chit chat. For those that don't know, I'm legitimately meeting you for the first time in person.
That's right.
We've had a lot of dialogue. I've gotten to know you, and I think, and I've told you this, James, and I'm not. I have no idea what I'm doing in life, so I'm trying to do the best I can. And I will say, as I'm doing this adulting thing, I look for reasons not to do something.
Right.
I look for reasons not to buy, not to like. And in your case, even when we met, I said time's going to be the most priceless commodity and the dictator of what you stand for. And dude, what's it been like? Less than a handful of months. I can't turn a corner without some very influential people that I look up to that are extremely appreciative and like your outlook. Of course, I'll throwing that caveat out there. Time will be that, like we're hoping because I have a strong feeling you're going to get in, and we hope you rock what you say you're going to, which I feel you are. But I'm extremely excited for someone who's homegrown, going to be in. And what a moment for you, because I get my own anxious idiot syndrome of like life and my little responsibilities. What a great moment for you. And for those that don't know, graduated here. We were just talking about it. Graduated from Spruce Creek.
That's right.
In
2004.
2004.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's funny because now we're just getting to know. We share a lot of the same background of friends, etc. Then you have this beautiful background in scholastically and militarily.
That's right. Yeah.
Can we get into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So just kind of, I guess, to back up a little bit, if you don't mind. My ties, a lot of people have been wondering, where's this guy? Is he an outsider coming in? Well, guys, I actually grew up down in Volusia County. I was born up north in New Jersey. My folks moved down here. My older brother and I, we moved down here at the ages. I was 6. My older brother, Steve, was probably 9 or 10 at that time. 9, I think. Anyway, we moved down to South Daytona. So not South Daytona Avenue, but South Daytona, Florida, down in Volusia County. And, so, we've always at the palm tree. I remember going to visit my grandparents down here, and they had this great big palm tree in their front of their house. And I was like, oh man, this Florida place is so exotic and cool. And, some life events happened, and my folks said, we're moving to Florida. I couldn't have been more excited, and like I get to wear shorts all the time. I get to go to the beach.
Right.
And we grew up on the coast up in Jersey, but, as a little kid, but there's nothing like our beaches here. Right. We at 6 we moved down here, and Florida's really all I know is it growing up and everything. And so grew up in South Daytona, small town, kind of like here in Flagler Beach, and that's kind of where my heart really, I fell more and more in love with this place because I seen the kids running down the street. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows everybody. That's the type of neighborhood I grew up in. Actually, it's one of my childhood best friend's birthdays today.
Nice.
And I'll never forget his birthday. Garrett, happy birthday, buddy. And him and I, we grew up together, and kind of went to during that time went to South Daytona Elementary, and then went to Campbell Middle School, and then decided that I thought for an opportunity to play a little bit more. Sports in high school, I decided to go to Father Lopez. And at that time, we were probably one of the best basketball programs in the area at that time. And so my brother's class, Steve, when he graduated in 2000, they had, some Mike Farrell was his name. He was like 6'8". I think he ended up going to like Lafayette or something like that. And then, my group kind of came through and I was backing up a guy. He was 6'8". He went to the Air Force Academy. He was right in between our age and some Mormon guys. And then played with, I don't know if you remember Ryan Ritter. His dad's the head coach at Embry-Riddle now, but he was our point guard and he grew up down in Ormond. So, and then some things happened. I decided that, I wasn't longer really, Lopez wasn't doing for me anymore. So my folks actually, in between that time, I was going to Lopez. We built a home down in Port Orange in the early 2000s. And so I actually ended up being zoned for Spruce Creek and loved it. So I had a wonderful time there. And after that, during our time, probably when you were a senior in high school, I was a sophomore. What happened? 9/11. And man, that was a sense of patriotism. And, I kind of felt like, there's no other time in history except for Pearl Harbor that I think we really felt that sense of patriotism as a country. And I mean, we weren't around, that was long before our time, right? Our grandparents could tell us about it, but there wasn't, social media wasn't really a thing yet. Yeah, we had this .com internet stuff at that time, but we didn't really have this Facebook Live. We didn't have those things, but we saw war on our doorsteps and we got to see that over and over. And that to me was like, something's got to, the military thing always kind of played out in the back of my mind. And, my older brother actually set a really good, I guess, example for me that, he decided, he went to UF right out of high school. And so he kind of set that standard. I'm like, I wasn't ready for college just yet. So I was like, a recruiter actually came in my one of my senior survival classes, and it was an Army recruiter. And I was like, well, this military thing sounds pretty good. I wasn't ready. I felt like if I went to Daytona State, right out of high school,
13th grade.
Yeah, exactly. And it would have been
no shame out there.
Exactly.
I did it.
Yeah, and I just felt like if I would have went to Daytona State right out of high school, I just don't think I would have appreciated it. I probably would have, it wouldn't have worked out.
Had you always been scholastically gifted though?
Not really, no. I mean, so actually,
some of these accolades we're going to get into.
Yeah. So actually, I really can thank my mom and dad. They saw when I was a little bit younger. My mom's an educator, so she's been doing it for.
So she was probably on
me. Yeah, she was on me.
You weren't getting probably bad grades, but you were were you?
Yeah, I struggled with my reading and math as a little kid, so they got me some extra help. That's why they put me in public school. But then by the time I got to middle school, I kind of overcame those things. But I was like, it also became a social thing. So all my friends in my neighborhood, they were all going to Campbell for middle school. And again, my best friend growing up as a kid, his dad was an educator too. Wow. And he kind of talked to my mom and said, Kathy, it's okay. Because Campbell was kind of it's a tough school. Yeah. It's in it's in the inner city in Daytona, and they it was a lot different from where we went to elementary school. Right. We were riding our bikes, we were being bused into tougher part of town.
Right.
But it was a wonderful experience. Loved every minute of going to school there.
So when you graduated, did you go right into the military?
I did, yeah. So
and for those that don't know, what branch did you?
Yeah, so I was in the United States Marine Corps from 04 to 08. So,
which, by the way, God bless.
Oh, thanks, man. No, I tip my hat to anybody that puts on a uniform. Yeah. It's a selfless thing. It's put a blank check.
So you went right.
Yeah,
young buck, like the real deal.
Yeah. So we graduated high school May of 04. I was working at Target down in Daytona, one of the only Targets at the time in the area, right? Yeah, before we had the one in Port Orange, the nice one here on 100. So I was working at Target, and it was in between that time, and then I said, I already signed the papers, and one of my other buddies, my best friend, one of my best friends now, he also went in the Marine Corps with me, and he always gives me a hard time still to this day. He actually kind of laid the foundation. Buddy Stefan, and he kind of laid the foundation for us. Like we ran into each other in high school, and he's like, "Hey man, take this recruiter's card." And in the back of my mind, I'm like, "Okay." Right. And then so the seeds were planted there to go enlist. And then so my brother Steve, again, I went up to visit him when he was in Gainesville. So that was kind of cool. Senior in high school, get to go up to Gainesville, and do get a little bit of college life, and Exactly. And Gainesville's a good time. For especially being 18. Exactly. So one of my brother's classmates from college actually was in a Marine enlisted decommissioning program who was actually influential in my enlistment,
Right.
as well as my aunt and uncle who were Naval Academy graduates that were Marine officers. And, they were a big reason why I went to the Marine Corps.
Right.
And so then my buddy had planted the seeds, and then I had spoken with my brother's friend who was going from an enlisted to an officer. And at that time, I was like, okay, this Marine Corps thing sounds pretty cool. And so I guess it was my senior skip day. So it was the 104th day into my senior year of high school. We all skipped school. What was I doing? I'm filling out paperwork to enlist. So I called my aunt and uncle that, they said, do your homework, ask the right questions. Smart. And so my aunt said to, even though I was 18, my aunt said, bring dad with you just to be safe. Absolutely. So my father came with me that one time on a Monday. And then by that Wednesday, I'm going up to Jacksonville at MEPS, getting screened, getting a ship date by Friday. Wow. And and then August of 2004, right after, was it Floyd, the one that came across so that weekend, my buddy and I, that Friday, my parents were going to have a nice big dinner for me and, have a barbecue and, give me a last send off meal, right? Before I became, So, by the way, there's a storm that's going to come right across the I-4 corridor and just wreak havoc on us. And none of us were prepared for that. Right. So, here's this storm that comes in and, so then my buddy who I guess I didn't really finish that part. My buddy that enlisted with me, he could have gotten credit if I would have said, Stefan gave me the credit to, he was the one anyway. So he's always been hanging that over my head for the longest time. And so him and I went to boot camp together. So we he was actually helped me out a lot in my life. I was like, you understand this is, being a teenager in the, early 2000s, making, we were making like $5.15 an hour. I was working at Burger King. And he's like, hey man, you should come work over at Bob Evans. I can get you $6 an hour. So that's how we became friends working there down in Port Orange. And then, we went through, him and I have got, we're we're bonded, like, it's like a fraternal thing, especially in the Marine Corps, it's fraternal. But then it's kind of like, in Greek life terms, I guess it'd be somebody that was in your pledge class with you. Right. Him and I are bonded even deeper beyond that, like, he had this, I'm Sherman, his last name was Saunders. So like alphabetically we were buddies. And so like Sherman's, and then, like one of our funny stories, I'm getting goosebumps talking about one of our funny stories is like, we just got our 2 drill instructors. It was our day that they're going to hammer Sherman and Saunders. And there we were in the pit, they had the sand pit to give us additional training some additional fun training. And we came back, we were just covered in sand, but we look back at it and laugh at it now, but it was quite the experience. And then, after the Marine Corps, so we got through basic training, our boot camp, and then him and I came home for 10 days and then we went to combat training. And then that's where him and I split because, so in the Marine Corps, every Marine's a rifleman first. And then after that, you go to either you have the infantryman, or I should say infantry now because there's women in infantry now. So, or you go to your, like a support school, but before you do that, you're a basic infantryman. And so he was an air traffic controller and I was going to do like HR, like paying entitlements and everything. So he went to Pensacola and I went to Camp Johnson, which is in Camp Lejeune up in North Carolina. And then I got orders to Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort, which was right in between Savannah and Charleston. Okay. So not a bad duty station. Yeah. You could go to Savannah. Savannah was about 45 minutes and Charleston was about an hour and a half. Right. So, being a young 20-something in that area was kind of a fun time. It was kind of like my college experience in a way. Right. When we had the freedom. Right. And then, so I served with some fantastic people, had some wonderful staff non-commissioned officers and officers that really believed in me and really, saw how hard I tried to work my tail off to really just serve those Marines that, we were servicing, that were getting ready. They'd come through our office and, I'll never forget, there was a Friday afternoon we had, this is when we were fighting in Iraq hard. This is when the Marines were over there because Afghanistan kind of had taken, the Army was kind of handling Afghanistan, but we were really still fighting in Iraq. I'll never forget, I had an MP, military policeman check in, and his staff non-commissioned officer said, this Marine, we need to get him in and get him out. He needs to get his gear. He's leaving for Iraq on Monday. Literally that was real enough for me to say, okay, this is don't lose sight of what's going on here. And,
Right.
and then we had another conversation. I mean, nothing ever came of it, but our colonel, when he was the first colonel of our air station where I was at, said, have your gear ready to go, Marines. And, and then one of my corporals, when I was a young Marine at that time, said, always be ready, because he was in Quantico, or, where headquarters Marine Corps is over there. And the Marine Corps band was going to deploy to Iraq. So he said, be ready for anything. And so that always resonated with me during my 4-year enlistment. And again, it was a wonderful time. I just opted to utilize my benefits I had earned to go to college, and did a little bit of college while I was in the service. Okay. Got some college algebra, knocked out some other just basic courses, and
this is where Riddle starts to trickle in, right?
That's right. So
had you always? I mean, to me,
yeah,
Riddle is has always been a lot of people's dream.
Yeah.
Had that always been?
Yeah, no. It's a funny story about how Embry-Riddle came about. So what happened was, I was going to Daytona State actually right when I first got out, for about a year and a half.
Right.
I was going to kind of follow my mom's footsteps, become a teacher.
Nice.
But what happened in 2009, the Great Recession?
Yeah.
And there was teachers were being laid off. I mean, I remember the school districts didn't have enough money to pay substitute teachers. And I know up here in Flagler County, it was hit even harder, because I had some classmates that were living in Palm Coast, and they were telling us about all the foreclosures. I mean, it was tough times around here. And so I was going to do the teaching thing. I was, this is where Flagler Beach comes into the picture too. So, and I'll tell you a little bit more about my experiences of Flagler County and Flagler Beach before growing up as a kid. But so when I, in 2008, got out and was going to Daytona State and was going to do the teacher thing, got accepted to UCF. My buddy and I, again, the one I was in the Marine Corps with, Stefan, had gotten out, and we were both going to go to UCF.
We're not. You're not married, kid, or anything.
No, this is where my wife comes in
like
the picture.
24-ish, maybe.
24, 25-ish time frame there. Yeah, well, no, 20. I guess I was 23, because I met my wife at 24.
That's true. You went right in.
Yeah.
So you're thinking you're going to UCF, going to be a night.
Going to be a night, and I was going to go be a school teacher, and I was going to teach high school history, come back in the area, coach basketball or football or something. Typical. That's what I thought I was going to do. Well, lo and behold, that was not the case. One of my other friends, I was working at Sam's Club through college, and I was living in Daytona at the time.
That you've always been a working boy.
It's always been, and that's kind of how Embry-Riddle kind of comes. There's a lot of, it's weird how certain things all kind of line up here. The stars kind of aligned for me. And so my buddy, him and I were thinking about going there, and life took him in the direction to go to Stetson to pursue. He's a
shitty school.
What's that? No, it's great. Yeah, it's great school. He ended up doing. He got his. I think his English. Don't kill me, Stefan, if you're listening. I think he got his English degree there, and then he was going to get his. Was looking to go get his MFA somewhere, but he ended up getting his MBA through Stetson as well. So.
So he's going there.
Yeah, he's going there. And then I end up at Embry-Riddle. So what ended up happening was a guy I'm working with. He's works for the State Department. And he used to call me Jiminator. He said, Jiminator, Embry-Riddle is a great place. You got to check this out.
For those that have not met the James Sherman, he's not short. He's a big boy. What are you, like 6'4"?
6'4",
yeah. A big boy.
Yeah. So I like
that basketball in you.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I see the Shermanator.
Yeah, Shermanator.
I like whoever you are out there, guys.
So he's over in Pakistan right now, actually. We get talking one day. We're working, we're bigger guys, so we're working in the flatbed lanes at Sam's Club, because people come in there. Stuff there's like, it's huge stuff. So the guys are coming in, girls are coming in to reload their local businesses. There might be just their loading up on paper, whatever it might be. That's what they're doing there. So this guy, it's almost like something out of Step Brothers, the movie, right? So I'm talking to him, I said, Jorge, so you go to Embry-Riddle, you like to fly airplanes. I was like, well, where I was at in the Marine Corps, we had an F-18 base. He said, Marine Corps? I said, yeah. I'm a Marine. I said, what? And then it was just like, drop the mic. It was like, forget about it. We're taught, and it was instant, just, best friend.
Romance,
it was, bro. He was actually one of my groomsmen at my wedding. I was a groomsman at his wedding. And it was right.
So he's at Riddle.
He's at Riddle. I'm going to Daytona State. I'm in this in between phase because I was substitute teaching at that time, and I took a semester off.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, because I wanted to make that move to Orlando at that time. Thinking, and then he says, well, hey man, why don't you come to Embry-Riddle and go into the Homeland Security program? He's like, it's a lot of vets. It's a great program. I really enjoy it.
You're young. You're
yeah.
Career.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? Hey, I've already got 4 years with the military. Thinking, all right, I'll go, up to DC. I didn't have my wife yet at that time.
Right.
And
had we met yet?
Not yet. So at this point, so this is like 2009, and then I started going to Riddle right when I met my wife in 2010.
Now, when you're going to Riddle, I'm a novice when it comes to. I just assume everyone going there is doing something aeronautical.
So a lot of everything kind of.
You didn't fly. You're not a flyer. You're not a fly boy.
No.
So you were going there. Did you know that then, or did you think you were going to become a
never had any aspirations? No. I was looking to go into the Homeland Security field, like maybe.
You knew that as an enlisting. Interesting.
Yeah. So I didn't have any aspirations to fly. Never really interested me in that standpoint. I was always interested in the what goes on behind the scenes at the airports. I can tell you all that fun stuff that goes on in the operations and the security and all the compliance they have to be in with the FAA and It's a whole nother. That's a lot of stuff that goes on. So I tip my hat to anybody that works in that industry. Everything again is to support the pilots and the overall everything at the airports. So during that time, I go into the Homeland Security program with him, and loved it. It was a wonderful program. Kind of went with my love of history a little bit, because you have to understand history to kind of maybe understand how some of these
how we got here.
How some of at that time it was. We were fighting the Taliban still, and Al Qaeda was still kind of a thing. That was our forefront at that time, and so you kind of had to understand that, and you had to have an appreciation of history, and also learned a lot about terrorism, and then I also learned a lot about emergency management. So during that time, him and I are taking a lot of the same classes together. And he and I we went out to Daytona, and we were had a client that called the Looking Glass, and we did their emergency management plan as our senior project, and developed a plan for them to be prepared for hurricanes.
Wow.
And so, so that's where him and I were. And all during that time, I meet this young lady who now is my wife, Jess, a true Flagler Beach native, was brought home from the hospital on South Flagler Avenue. And my in-laws moved, sorry for the transition here. My in-laws moved here in 82.
Okay.
My father-in-law, my mother-in-law and father-in-law are from the Maryland, Baltimore area. And my father-in-law actually came down and went to USF back in, I want to say the 70s. My wife comes from a big Italian family. So her great aunt and uncle had a business in Ormond. So I believe my father-in-law, Wilbur, moved up to Ormond for a few years, and then ended up going back up to Baltimore, rekindled things. Him and my mother-in-law knew each other from school, but then they ran into each other and started dating, and the rest, they got married. And then they decided to make the trek back down to Florida in 82, and they were going to live in Ormond. That's the thought. That was the thought at that time. And then so my mother-in-law and father-in-law needed to find a place to. I think either my mother-in-law or father-in-law had to go to the restroom, and they needed a place to get a kennel for their dog, because they're going to stay with my father-in-law's aunt and uncle in Ormond. Anyway, they stumble across this cool little beach town in 82. Flagler Beach is it's Palm Coast wasn't even a thing yet really at that time. And so they came to this beach town, and the rest was history. They're like, this is where we want to be. Yeah. And so that's how they ended up here. And they bought their first home. They were living in an apartment somewhere on the south side, more in the 20th section there. And then they ended up buying a house on their first home they bought was on South Flagler in the 18th block there. Yep. And 86 comes around. My mother-in-law is super. I was telling people some of the stories. My mother-in-law is like ready to have my wife. My wife was born in July, so my mother-in-law super pregnant, and she's like, I'm not missing that 4th of July parade. So she's there with my wife, and lo and behold, about 5 days later, my wife comes, but it's born, and but my mother. It's always the joke with our family is like, my mother-in-law said, I'm not missing that 4th of July parade. And so my wife was brought home here. I think it was here till she was about 4. My in-laws ended up building another house on South Central on the 17th block there. And after that, they ended up, splitting. So then my mother-in-law worked for GE. So she actually took a job up in Pennsylvania. Wow. However, during that time too, the house my wife and I own, my in-laws, grandparents bought the home in '85 that we own, and then they also had a rental property that my father-in-law still rents to this day on South Flagler. So there's always been, there's a lot of investment. And then my mother-in-law, so between 18th and 19th, our family has 3 properties respectively. So my mother-in-law has a place on the 18th block. My father-in-law has a place on the 18th block as well on the South Flagler's part, and then we're on the 19th block. So yeah, there's a lot of investment and so my wife had moved around a lot, but what always stayed constant was Flagler Beach for her. And so she went to Florida State, graduated from high school in Ocala at Vanguard, but then went to Florida State. She'd come home here to Flagler Beach during the summer. She actually bartended at Finn's a little bit when it was Finnegan's back then. So,
back in the day.
Yeah, you said probably in your day when you may have been down here, because I was like, I said, you like know Chenzo maybe from here.
If I see her, I saw her on the thing, seeing her mannerisms and stuff. Because what year would she have graduated high school?
She would have graduated in 04 as well.
But still, same era. So we probably,
absolutely.
We've definitely been in the same room at the same time.
Absolutely.
Somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So she would come down here, even in high school, that her and her friends would, make the trek across 40, come over here, crash at the house at our home now that, where
what
we
a feeling to be in your old, like her. Nostalgic.
And it's cool because it's like our daughter will be this 4th generation living in that house.
Now, you have one little offspring.
How,
2 years?
4 years old. Yeah, so we so she's a handful, but she's the best thing ever, and and that's what makes me so excited about being here in Flagler Beach is that she's gonna get to grow up in a town.
But you're not leaving, right?
Not leaving, man. I promise.
We're folks.
You heard it here, folks. We're rooted. We're not going anywhere else
tomorrow.
No. I promise. We're rooted.
So when you graduated Riddle, that became your occupation, right? That industry. You were in Homeland Security.
I wasn't in Homeland Security. I was trying to. So funny story. I went as far as Maui to go and apply for jobs. Like I flew out there, took a test to be a police officer out there.
Wow.
And so I really thought that's where I was headed. I was like, okay, this is my calling. This is where I need to be.
Right.
Well, curveball.
Right.
So he's one of my biggest mentors professionally that I work with to this day. Back when I was in college, working at Sam's Club again, I was selling cell phones at that time. And we had this wireless awareness weekends, and we would waive your activation fee. So you get your $36 off your activation fee. Well, lo and behold, this gentleman comes and says, I'm in the market for a new cell phone. And I want to get that activation fee waived. All right, get you an iPhone for 96 cents. And then, that's how we hook you in with our prices. And so we got talking, and he's like, I'll keep my Embry-Riddle discount too. I said, of course. I'll make sure, that all stays on there. And then that was a segue of him and I talking. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting ready to graduate in the spring. I'm a senior at the Daytona campus. And jokingly, he would say to me, if you screw this up, I'm going to make sure you don't graduate, So that's always our running joke, And so I would always say hi to him when they come in the Sam's Club at Allen, they come in. I say, hey guys, how you doing? And we always, we would talk. And Ed said to me, he said, we've got an opening. How's the job search going? I said, it's going.
Did you graduate?
I graduated, and I was getting a little worried because absolutely, man.
All this school.
I'm just like nothing. And I'm like, well, I have nothing to show for it. My GI Bill benefits are used up all, so I had nothing to lean back on other than okay, I'm gonna have to get a second job. Maybe go try to apply for at Johnny's place. Waiting on tables or dishwashing at night there, and because we were a block away from Oceanside there where we were living. So I said, we'll go put an application in there and work at night, And so, anyway, long story short, he said, well, I got an opening. Why don't you apply? See what happens. And didn't promise me anything.
And what's the job?
So I was going to be an academic evaluator. So basically what it is like if, let's say, you went to Daytona State for a couple of years, and then you went to UF for a couple of years, and then you got a big job somewhere, but in the aviation industry or whatever, aviation necessarily. And you said, you know what, and my employer, or I want to go to Embry-Riddle. We look at all your credit, apply it towards a degree with us. We evaluate all your previous credit and, kind of put the puzzle together for you. And then we send it out.
So like a higher scaled, what we would consider back in school, like what do they call, like a count? What do they
counselor?
But like you're evaluating someone's educational.
That's right. educational credentials and kind of credentialing their previous education.
It seems like you enjoy it.
I loved it, and it's there's a few things in life I'm really passionate about. I really enjoy doing that.
That's awesome.
So I did that, and the offer was presented to me to get a master's degree, and I said, and for free. I said, my gosh, it'd be crazy not to get this wonderful gift
from Riddle.
From Riddle.
That shade school.
No, yeah. So I said, you know what? Why? Let's do this thing.
Right.
You know, I'm going all in with this. I'm going to take advantage of the educational benefits. And the way it was presented to me is, you scratch our back for a couple of years, you get this free education, and you can move on. And that was always in the back of my mind. So I'm like, yeah, let's just do this higher ed thing for a few years and then see what happens. So that's what I did. So in between that time, my wife and I are dating.
You started adulting.
Yeah, we started adulting, and it's kind of funny. We grew up together around here at the same time too, in a way. I mean, I met her at 24. She's 23. I'm now 36. We're going on year 12 on the 17th.
Awesome.
Man. And she's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
And so we got together, and so we grew up here together. So I mean, I moved up here at 24. We moved in. We're renting for my mother-in-law at that time, and it's funny how we grow, right? So it used to be Finn's on a Wednesday night. We'd go karaoke there. It was men's night.
Did you ever used to misbehave in Palm Coast?
I was a good boy up here. All my bad, maybe Volusia County I might have did some. Sorry, mom and dad, but some of my mischievous things were in Volusia County. I was a good boy up here. With my wife and I, we would we'd go to Finn's occasionally. That was kind of our spot. And then as we grew up, we were like, let's go to brunch to Oceanside. Yeah. Let's go to Java Joint. Let's go to let's go down to Snack Jacks and just support the local. That's what makes us special. Our local businesses. When
did you start feeling this passion to pursue this?
So during that time, what I saw was, my wife and I, we got engaged here. That's how much as I was falling for my wife, I was falling in love with Flagler Beach.
Right.
And, my memories of coming up here, this is why I was going to say where Flagler County kind of comes in the pictures. My father was with Kmart for years. Remember the Kmart Palm Coast? Yeah. So my dad opened up that Kmart up here. So that was how I used to come up here. And then the wildfires in 98. I remember that. Man. Yeah, man, that was crazy. And my mom was a school teacher, and one of her teacher friends were in Palm Coast.
Yeah.
And remember, they had to evacuate the whole
county.
I
was in the I-95 with my family in a van, and all we had.
And that's scary.
We thank God didn't lose our home, but a lot of our friends did.
Yeah, and that's it. A lot of people don't. Maybe some of the people that have been here for a long time remember those days, but a lot of people that you talk to around here don't know how the serious business of that was. I mean, I remember my dad, just before we had cell phones, my dad would call me from the office, his office at work. Jimmy, you need to go spray the house down.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because the embers from where we were in Volusia County, they weren't as
putting sprinklers on the roofs and shit.
Yeah, I mean, that was crazy times, man. I remember, I didn't really grasp. You kind of you.
Well, I was in 8th grade.
Yeah, right.
So you were in 7th.
Yeah,
6th or 7th.
Yeah, so that's what I remember. Those were my memories up here, seeing the pier and everything, and. So those are some of my earliest memories, and we drive through and everything, but so I always remember the exotic sand up here. Remember, so, and it was cool because I'm like, wow, this is a cool part of the beach, because like Daytona, we had the pounded sand, and I hung out mostly at Sunglow Pier down there, like Daytona Beach Shores, because that's where like all the kids in high school would hang there at that pier, and but during that time, I move up here with my wife and girlfriend at the time. And it was special. Like I remember our first night, one of the first things we did was we went on a bike ride, and my wife's like, I want to take you to my secret spot. I'm like, okay. So I was like, what kind of beer do you want? So I was like, again, this is 20s, right? So I got like a 6-pack of Miller Lite, and we rode bikes. She's like, I'm like, where are you taking me? Because I'm like, where are we going? So
going to kill you now.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, because it was dark, and so we go over to Betty Steph, like over there, and we go down we go down the boardwalk on our bikes, and it's dark. I'm like, where is she taking me? She like push me off into the river or something. I was like, we're still kind of new, so I'm like, I'm gonna act cool, I'm not gonna act scared, I gotta, kind of show off, you got that wall.
Shermanator is
the Shermanator is still there. So I got, I can't let the, anyway, so we go there, and that was her secret spot. And I was like, yeah, this is cool, and so we had some beers there and then rode back to the house and kind of hung out. And during that time, like I said, we grew up with this area. And so fast forward 2 years, almost 2 years later, I proposed to her at the end of where you ride out on the wick line.
Yeah.
Like
that at the end.
Yeah.
Nice,
So
dude. Great spot.
Wonderful. So Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, we walk out there, propose to her. Funny story behind this all.
She dropped the ring.
Didn't drop the ring. There's a guy out there. I don't. Still to this day, she thought he was a photographer. I think he might have had a few still from the night before, and he starts crying because I proposed to my wife out there. He goes, and I'll never forget. He goes, "The world just needs more love, man." And it made me just. It's like, you know what? Here I am down on one knee, giving my wife this ring, and she's crying. I'm like trying to keep it together, and he just comes. I'm like, oh my gosh, man! It's like Christmas Day. I'm thinking nobody's gonna be out there, right? Here's this guy that might have had a good time on Christmas Eve, and just the world needs more love, man. I was like, that always stuck.
Should have went to the wedding. Man.
I know. It's like, still it is, and it was a beautiful day like it is today, and there he is. And so we get engaged in 2011. And we get married. We stay engaged for a while, because we weren't ready. But I wanted to give her that commitment.
Want to lock it in?
Hey, honey, exactly. I want to put a ring on it. Let her know that we're in this together, long haul. You're the best thing.
You ain't leaving.
No, exactly.
You're
So
Sherman
that's right. So I gotta make this lady Mr. Sherman. So we get out there, and I'm finishing college, and we're just figuring out life.
Right.
And so we get married at the Hammock. Had a wonderful wedding up there in November.
Place?
Yeah, November 2014. We had a wedding there.
Days.
Yeah, it was. We fell in love with it, and we were like, "Wow, this is where we want to have it." So we got married. Where the 18th hole was there. With the backs up. Yeah. So we got married there, and then we had the reception in the tent there on a Friday. Beautiful weather, but it was a little chilly. November.
It's okay though, because you get a little spice in those penguin suits.
There it is. Yeah, most guys were warmed up. The girls were not so much.
True.
We got married there, and then again we're settling down, and over that course of time, again, love for this town is just growing.
Right.
And I was helping out because where my wife and I lived, my mother-in-law, we were like one of the only permanent residents in the place, in the little townhomes that she has where she lives, and so I get involved with I was kind of like the guardian, I guess you would say.
Wow.
Look out for things, and some of the neighbors would actually come to me and be like, "Hey, what's going on with the sprinklers?" I'm like, "I don't know," but
HOA, sure.
Yeah, exactly. So what was going on? And so, I think my wife and I, maybe another gentleman. He's a local artist here. I don't remember his name now, but he was renting behind us.
Okay.
And I think it was like the two of us that were the only permanent residents there, day in and day out. So we would see things, and I'd bring things up, and we had like this little private alleyway there.
Right.
So I just kind of keep an eye out, just make sure people weren't, so that's where, again, I was like really starting to take pride.
Take an authoritative approach.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you're identifying areas that can
absolutely
be
becoming
amplified.
more protective of this place, kind of taking ownership in our city a little bit. And, so over that course of time, that's what's going on. And I'm just loving this place. And also during that time, the house we own, my father-in-law asked, he'd go, "You mind?" I offered to cut the grass and take care of the property for him. And during that time, I'd cut the grass, and I just think about it. You get to that point in your life, like you own a home here now, and so I was like, this house would be pretty cool. My wife grew up here, and that house always meant so much to her. Maybe someday we could buy it for my father-in-law.
Right.
And we just loved it. I just said, oh my gosh, I could see our daughter, playing in this or our child. We didn't know we had a daughter, but our child playing in the backyard here, and really making our roots here in Flagler Beach. So we did that. That was a thought, right? So then my wife and I always had this infatuation with. My wife went out to Hawaii for after college. She lived in Maui for a little bit, and then came back to Flagler Beach. Was working in the banking industry, was looking to become a CPA, and the options in Hawaii were a little bit more streamlined than here in Florida. I mean, she would have basically got her master's degree and then had so many years of experience before she could even sit on the CPA. So what we decided to do was, let me finish my master's degree at Rail, and then you've been wanting to go back out to Hawaii for a few years, so let's do it. Flagler will be here, but my heart was always here. It was hard to leave this place. My heart was always here. And, had a wonderful experience in Hawaii. We lived in Waikiki for 3 years. Lived it up. Talk about beautiful place.
It's really shitty out there.
Yeah, rough life out there.
Another one.
Got to live out there for 3 years and met some amazing people.
Amazing.
You know, this gentleman Tom, he was my mentor out there. He's kind of like another dad to me out there. And
you probably became a different person.
I did. You know, it was a different life. I mean, you know, you wrote it was my first experience living in a big city.
Mm-hmm.
So living in Honolulu, you know, I'd ride the bus to work. I would, you know, get a taxi sometimes.
Well, there's a culture out there too, though.
There is a culture, and so believe it or not, my dad's side of the family's from there. My grandma was local Japanese out there, so my grandma was born on the Big Island. So I had some ties there. My great grandparents are buried. They were Buddhist, so they're in a mausoleum in Hilo on the Big Island. So I had roots.
You had some definitely.
Yeah, so I was invested. My great grandparents were actually born in Hawaii, and they were brought over. So the king at that time, King Kamehameha, actually was bringing Japanese and Filipinos over to do some farming and stuff. So
I didn't know any of this.
Yeah, so that's how they came over to Hawaii. And so in my second grades, my great grandparents were born in Hilo. My grandma ended up becoming a lawyer and met my grandfather here on the mainland. But my wife lived, and so that was an instant connection with my wife, right? She lived in Maui. My dad's side of the family's from there. Always was infatuated with that side of my family. You know, my mom's side of the family's awesome too, but it's exotic. It's a really different thing. And so I always kind of identified with that. And I said, you know, if I could have the opportunity to go there, I would love there. Well, we went and we ended up making a home there. Awesome. So the thought was we'll go live in Oahu for a year and then maybe try to make our way to Maui, because Big Island's a unique place. You know, Big Island's Big Island. Maui's cool, but if you really want to thrive out there,
you got to find the locals.
Yeah, and so you know, so Oahu was where we could really make it. Right. So my wife, a week into us living out there, so we went out there, left Flagler Beach, 6 suitcases to our name, savings. We're going to do this. We had enough belief in ourselves that we were going to do this, and I said to my wife, I said, we're going to go out here and we're going to thrive. Yeah. And you know, and we did. So my wife got hired instantly, like a week into it. So I'm bored out of my mind. I don't know anybody out here. So I'm like, I gotta do something. So worked some little odds and ends of jobs. I worked as a pool boy at the Sheraton. Sheraton Waikiki. Yeah. Beautiful. Ever get a chance?
Everything's beautiful out there.
Yeah, they've got the amazing infinity pool. So I was working at the infinity pool out there. It's like top.
The Shermanator pool boy out there. I like it.
So it was a good time. Got to meet a lot of people and met some, like I said, the locals, right? So there's a culture out there.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it kind of like resonated with me. That's kind of where I was going to go with it. That parallel here in Flagler Beach, like that love I had for here in Flagler Beach, and that kind of way of like, I wouldn't say defending Flagler Beach, but at the same time, like understanding the culture here and understanding what we kind of are about. I got that understanding a lot more in Hawaii. You know, like I understood, like, you know, hey, we take lots of pictures. You know, just leave footprints in the sand, type of thing. You know, respect the island. Respect the culture, you know, and you'll be okay. Right. And I did.
We're all visitors.
Yeah, we're all visitors at the end of the day. And, you know, so I tried to really embrace that when I was out there, you know, that Pono, you know, you know, just having that good way about you, you know.
What's Pono mean?
Like good, you know, righteous. Good vibes, good vibes. You know,
every great culture has.
Yeah.
Costa Rica's Pura Vida.
That's my wife's quote. She did a study abroad there. She's got that all over.
Every great, and I mean, there's no better or worse out there, but I mean, those who have been fortunate enough to get away from your, and if that is your backyard, then I'm jealous. Yeah. But there, obviously, the States were still so new.
We are.
But culturally, when there's a culture or an area geographically that dates back, there's this. Well, I've noticed too. There's a parallel with cultures and people that don't need much.
No, and that's
and beach folk and simple folk. There's something to be said. Consumerism is
it is.
So I gotta ask these questions because I'm curious out of my own standpoint, because I have a saying that I feel like any people that choose to do what you're doing, there's a silver lining of insanity.
Absolutely.
Like I look at the Colleen Conklins of the world, and I tip my hat off to them because the way the world is now, know you're walking into shit. Oh, absolutely. Like this isn't. They're not throwing parades.
No. Oh, absolutely
not. You know that you're gonna have a bolt. Like the minute you're in. So my point is, it's like it's like elected officials should almost sometimes not even be like self-appointed because like you're going to get
absolutely
destroyed. So my curiosity from being that we're pretty much at the same age and the same era of adulting.
Absolutely.
What is like some things that are bothering you that you want to change that you could say to me, because this setting is a homey setting.
Oh, absolutely.
We're hanging out.
Exactly.
What would you say? Like, what is it for those that don't that don't politic either?
Yeah.
Because I don't. Another thing we're going to dive into too is that a lot of my friends and family, they've asked me, what the hell does the city commission?
Absolutely.
Which is not smart. We should, and I can't even answer it, to be honest with you. I know, like, well, they do the things.
Yeah, right.
They do the city things.
Exactly.
Right? Come on. But what are some of the things that you want to tackle right away?
Oh man, so I've got, it's funny. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm going 1,000 miles an hour. That's just me, who I am as a person.
The Shermanator.
That's right, Sherman. I'm going full. I'm all in with this.
Right.
When my wife gave me her blessings, and my daughter said, "You can do it, Daddy." I said, "All right, girls, Daddy's I'm all in." And I wanted to give back to this community, and serve. What I think some of the biggest things we need to do is, I think that we need to get people to understand, like, hey, come here, come here. We want you to come here and enjoy our beaches, but at the same time have, I know it's not really a commission thing, but have an appreciation of the locals and have an appreciation of what we call home here.
Right.
And, I think those are some of the big things, but commissionally speaking, we have to for me, it's our infrastructure. At the last commission meeting, I'm looking out here. Right. I'm looking at your power line. Okay. So I said, we need to get those buried. I probably, a few people that are here listening have probably heard this a couple times now. Over the summer, my neighbors, 2 houses down from me, they had a down power line in their yard.
I remember you telling me. I heard this.
And so,
this is good.
And to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a 4-year-old daughter. My neighbors, the McNerney's, they have 2 boys, a third one on the way. My neighbors, 2 over from me, their grandkids come over a lot. Grandma's there. I can't remember their last name off the top of my head. And then there's boys about early teens, and they're riding their bikes up and down the street. They're bouncing from each other's houses. Like the one young man, he lives on the corner of 18th and Flagler there, and then I think his buddy lives on the 20th block of Flagler. Right. So they're always riding their bikes down the street, just doing their thing, being kids. I don't think to myself, oh my gosh, that power line could have killed.
Why are they not in the ground?
So that's a good question. I think it was a cost thing.
Okay.
And so that's what I've been presented with. Well, I did a little bit of homework, and I said, let me read up on this. FPL is actually burying power lines in different municipalities now, because to get ahead of the power curve of, every time we have a storm, they got to come replace all the power lines, and we're without power. And so I think it's going to reduce our risks of certain things like that to get the power lines buried, and hopefully we can get FPL to do it, and that doesn't affect you and I. Right? It's all going to be included.
Let's play devil's advocate. Yeah. Why would I be against it?
I don't know. Maybe the concern of cost. I think that's always
if it's on the city.
If it's on the city, and I would not go for it if it's on the city. That's one thing. I am very. I'm running on also being fiscally conservative for us, and fiscally responsible.
Right.
And I don't want to have things that are like a power lines that are going to cause our property tax or just taxes in general just to go through the roof to pay for these things. I would rather, build back better. The president just last night had his thing. So, hey, let's go ahead and get some of that money, Mr. President. Look at this historical town that we have here in Flagler Beach. There's not many. You go in the state of Florida, there's probably not too many. Is it true?
I'm going to bounce around a little bit now. And for those that are listening, sorry, because this is just the way I run my show. It's just chill.
I like it, man.
I just saw Funky Pelican say that the owners of the parking lot, which I didn't even know that was this whole thing, they're going to start charging for parking.
Yep.
What's your overall, and these questions are not premeditated, I don't have an agenda, so I don't know if you don't have a stance, it's okay. But I think some of the hot topics that people want to know about is what's the charging of parking. What do you think about? What's your opinion?
I think we need to go back to the drawing board on it. Okay. I know there was a study done that's been presented years ago, and there was a study of it done. So that's great. I'm glad to hear that. But I think we need to look at it again. I think when the study was done, our market was not nearly as hot as it is now.
Right.
So, I mean, here, where do people come from that are on
all here? Right.
They're all coming here in our county, right? Palm Coast, they have their toll bridge over there. But
I'm kind of for it. Is it
yeah,
okay?
Yeah, no, I am. I'll be honest with you. I think it's, if we can have a thorough study, and
Right.
really see how it would impact, like,
Right.
because I worry about,
would the city get the money?
We would. We'd get the money.
That would be
it.
my
And
biggest
that would
concern.
be,
And this is coming from a one homeowner,
yeah,
OG county boy,
yeah, absolutely,
decade invested to Flagler Beach,
absolutely.
but very novice when it comes to politics. I would hope that if this park, I don't think there's too many locals that I know of that are against it, as long as it doesn't mess with someone's storefront. For instance, if you told Johnny and Tony right now that one block is going to have it. Now, I know, I can only imagine the bit of anxiety that the Funky Pelican investors, owners, employees have, and what that's going to do to affect us, when that literally, it's the only place.
That's the only place they can park.
But if the cities go, see, I think it's a wonderful approach that you're saying, that it needs to be looked at and evaluated, because I think we should have it in some places. Would I be proud to say to a friend of mine coming to visit that you got to pay to park anywhere from 25th to 25th, no matter where, even inland streets? That's tough. But you do look at the cities. You look at St. Augustine. You look at the bigger cities. No one bats an eye to pay to park.
They sure don't.
We're definitely been spoiled.
Yes.
And listen, I say it. I know you're allowed to say it, but those that have been here since grade school, we're a funky, weird town. Not just Flagler Beach, but even Palm Coast. I mean, there's things still to this day when I talk to friends that aren't from around here that live, and they're like, "You guys don't have an X or a Y." I'm like, "No." They're like, "What?" I'm like, "I know.
Right.
We're getting there." But the paid parking, I think, is going, if the revenue is going to go towards the city, 100%, excluding costs, obviously, the people either managing this. Right. But I think it's a wonderful. So on that note, you're pro as long as it makes sense.
Exactly, and that's where I want to make sure it's not affecting our wonderful businesses here in town, because that's what makes us unique, right? You come here.
I never realized what a big deal parking is.
Because
I'm not once again, I'm not a civil engineer,
right?
But for those that don't know or haven't visited here, parking. There's businesses here that legitimately can't make it, and they're black holes. I'm not going to name the spots, but I feel for them, because as I've gotten intimate with them as humans and servicing them digitally, I've seen that, like, if you don't have a parking spot or space, I mean, one of the biggest commodities Johnny's has is his parking lot.
Exactly.
Like, the deck is great.
Oh yeah.
But if he didn't have that, and he knows it.
Oh, you remember they had those problems.
Oh, I
remember
know.
that? We got a notification in the mail, and this is where, again, back in 2010, or when, I remember when it was Manny's. Wife and I used to go to Manny's and get
1.0, baby.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was great. We get to my wife's phone, probably it still says Manny's, right? I mean, that's where we go back to. And I remember I stuck up for them. I spoke out back in 2010, wasn't it? And I said that, there's those, I didn't know Johnny. I don't know Tony personally yet, but I saw what they were doing. Right. And I believed in it,
so to speak.
Yeah. And I believed in what they were doing. And, I saw this young guy that's trying to make ends meet and do a great thing
for those that don't know, the backstory just quickly is that Johnny and Tony are sweetheart people. They worked their ass off their whole life. Their father, rest in peace, started that place, and like, that is just, man, it's Oceanside is Oceanside. Now the city had made it, and I don't know who it was, and I'm not pointing fingers, but long story short, it was a nightmare to get that parking lot to where it is, and the woebegons and this and that. Yeah. But just there was a lot of friction. But
absolutely,
the aerial footage of this is that parking is huge.
It is,
and it's not going to. It's going to get more complicated. I'm going to say optimistic and say we're going to figure it out. But like, let's go hotel. How do you feel about hotel?
I like the fact of the hotel coming. One, if we. Again, history, right?
Right.
We had a hotel there years and years ago, and we were fortunate enough that wasn't there for however long. We had the farmers market, right. But come on, I mean, that's prime property. And I haven't
met too many people that are locals that are against it.
Yeah, I think it's
there seems to be some. Now, my heart goes out to those that are first, second, third, fourth, fifth street, north or south. And yes, shit's gonna change, man. And look, I don't want to say it sucks, but it's going to change.
It is.
And that part does kill me. I was talking to Chief Downey the other day, and I said, look, I'm a little spoiled because I'm on 20th Block North. I'm a little bit out of, if you want to call it riffraff, not from a negative connotation, but like music, seeing people. I can walk outside and not have to bump into a tourist.
You hear the waves.
Yeah, I hear the waves. But it's going to bring, I feel, so like simply said, I know there's a lot of, it's multidimensional, but are you pro hotel?
Yes, I am pro hotel.
Did you go to the thing last night?
Unfortunately,
I missed it too.
Yeah, I missed it too. I had baby
Is it
watch.
Jimmy Buffett or something?
It's
or
Margaritaville themed, and so that was one of the things. The city had passed an ordinance. Actually,
you want anything? By the way, I'm going to read.
Oh, good, Chenzo. Yeah. So the city had passed an ordinance on February 10th. Right. It was 2022-03, I think it was. Anyway,
and that was Zoe owned that property.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and so that's the prop. So as long as they're following the rules, if the building doesn't go over that 30. That's where if I'm elected, I won't have a problem as long as
what is it? 3 stories? Are we
3 stories, 35 feet. So as long as it doesn't go over that, they follow things.
Is that in the renderings? Have you seen yet? Or
I have not physically had an opportunity to look at the new renderings, but I'm sure we got a good group on the par board. There's some really great individuals I personally know that just got put on the par.
Right.
That Scott Spradley's one of them.
Love that guy.
And Deborah,
Deborah Phillips.
Yeah, no, not Deborah Phillips. I can't think of her last name.
Okay.
No, there's wonderful people that are on that par board.
So that should be good. But so right now, hotel wise, we're pro. Yes. Hotel, as long as everyone's playing by the rules.
I'm good with it. If we play by the rules, I have no problem with that. I think that it's good stuff.
What else is going on? I would say what's your opinion? And if you don't, these are so those are listen. I have no agenda. These are something that I would ask you hanging out at a bar.
Oh, absolutely.
This visitor center.
Yeah.
What are you? Do you want to talk publicly?
Yeah, I'll come out publicly about it, and I think actually our Commissioner Sullivan in the county actually proposed the same idea. Right now, City Hall is kind of an area where we don't, we're kind of thinking of moving out of City Hall. It's prime property for the city, right? So my thought is we have the building department now that's just right around the corner.
Yep.
My understanding is I haven't actually physically walked in all around the building department, but hey, why don't we centralize into there if we can? If it's maybe a little build out if we have to. They're putting in already. We got a grant to make that building hurricane proof, but we're getting a new roof on the building there. It's a city. Our city.
So where the museum is?
Not the museum, but where the building department is over there by the park. So on the corner there on South Daytona.
Yep.
So they're getting new windows. They're getting a new roof. And by the way, citizens, that is not anything out of our tax money. I'll make that clear. That is actually a 100% grant. You and I, as taxpayers, our tax money is not going towards that. That is 100% grant funded money.
That's awesome.
So kudos to our city manager and all the individuals that got that. So they're making that building, they're hardening that building, right? So bringing it up to the times. They're gonna have the impact windows on there. They're gonna have a good roof because the roofs, I think, code has it that they have to withstand at least 130 mile per hour winds.
Right.
Why don't we move there? Is my thought. Instead of putting the visitor center on, this is just my opinion. Again, I'm not nothing against the TDC. I have no hard feelings, so I want to make that clear. I would suggest, hey, we got our museum there, right? You're in the CRA district. You're in the heart of Flagler Beach, right there. Go ahead and let's see what the TDC and us could come to an agreement with that building. You're right. You got parking, right? You got the CRA district right there with plenty of parking. You've got some amazing the hotels there. We're gonna have a new pier in a couple of years. Where I just think it would be to me, it's just like it would be the perfect setting, right? For our tourists, our TDC to go there. Maybe I mean that lot there alone is very expensive. But again, that's not my.
No, I don't. This outlook, I think your outlook on it is a majority feel. Yeah, I think as I'm getting more aware of what's going on.
Absolutely.
Look, I love everyone that's advocating for it personally.
Yeah.
But I very rarely share my opinion in the streets, but the show is meant to have a little bit of a candid me and who I love and the people that are on the show. And I would say, look, man, in my opinion, it's like when people contact me and they ask me something like, hey, I think I want to do X for my marketing.
Right.
And I'll say, do you do that for your own personal?
Right.
And they'll say, no, I don't use it. I go, well, then it's probably not going to work for your venue. So, and I'm using the example right now for, let's just say, email blasts.
Right.
My opinion in 2022, it's like, how many emails do you delete without looking. So my thing would be visitor centers in general, my novice opinion. I just think that we can maybe potentially utilize the space, the money in this. And I'd rather build a city-owned bar or venue that's going to create community and revenue than information. Exactly. In my opinion. Exactly. But once again, what do I know?
Yeah. So that money.
But I like your outlook.
Yeah, and but to make that clear too. So I think there's some misunderstandings. I think Johnny did a fantastic job.
I love him. He's got it. There's value and validity to what he said.
There is. And Johnny's one of my favorite people. Johnny and I've known each other personally now for since December or so. Because we started out with the Starry Nights thing, and it's just been he's a great guy, and I'm looking forward to his boys, and my daughters are right in between his two boys' ages, so it's gonna be kind of cool. Our kids will get to grow up.
Johnny cares.
He does. He really cares.
And no one can sit at any. I would give you the worst look in the world if someone ever said like he basically he doesn't know what he's talking, or because it's the guy cares. He's invested at an irregardless of the exact dollar amount, but he's invested here.
He is,
and he cares. And yes, he's like anybody else. He's charismatic. He's flamboyant. And sometimes that can come off. Look, I'm very easily not liked too, because it's like, look at this guy. Must be nice. It's like you have no idea. Like I may come off like that, but it's been. This is what I care about, and I know Johnny cares. He
cares so much about our community.
And I could say all the things that we're even saying now to him, but I just feel like it needs to be highly evaluated and highly scrutinized, because it's a big deal.
It is. So
what is the plot at? 22, like 2.5?
So I don't know the ballpark figures off the top of my head. And that's just the land alone. Yeah. That's prime property there. And I mean, I'm up in the back of my mind. I was always, and I'll kind of go where I'm thinking with what could potentially happen with that lot. But back to the TDC thing. So everybody knows, just to make sure everybody's clear on that, that money, that's not coming from you and I's tax. That's actually from heads and beds. So to be clear, that money is not coming out of our property tax. That's actually money that's coming from the tourists. So I want to make sure everybody knows that. So, so you guys know it's not anything that's, again, we're not paying directly for. What I would like to see though, again, I think in a perfect world, if we could figure something out, come to some sort of agreement, say, here's City Hall, we'll give you that, and then see what we can do with our current plan. Maybe
because this would be a county ran thing too.
That's right. That's at the county
level. Which is ruffles and feathers.
Exactly. So again, it's to me that's where it would work out well, right? I think it's a good way of
it's an amicable relationship.
It is, and you got a building already there,
right?
Like I said, you got parking. You're in the CRA district. You've got all the businesses. Everything's right there. There's in the heart, and you got our beautiful Veterans Park right across the way. So my thought was, at that 1.9, or I'm saying 1.9 on 9th Street there, that lot where they're looking to build. My thought was, and I don't know, again, I'm not a lawyer and I don't understand any legalities or anything that as far as that goes. But my thought always in the back of my mind was like, maybe we could figure out somehow. And again, I don't know what it would take, but what if we, in like Volusia County, they buy up lots, right? And they make beautiful like splash pads. They got like the splash park. They've got you go down A1A and you can see like even I think they start as far north as like just when you got Ormond by the Sea there before Granada. They got like one of the cool little parks.
They're investing in themselves.
They are. And Volusia County is a much bigger county, larger population than Flagler, so that's some other things to put into consideration there. But what if, Punk, again, I don't think it's possible, but if we had Palm Coast come to the table, we had the county come to the table, have us come to the table and say, hey, this lot could be something that could maybe help us help you put a parking lot there maybe, or it's a good piece of land there. I don't know how many parking spots we could get out of it, but maybe we make parking there. Or make it a cute park where, you could have like a little splash pad. People can wash all the,
or a venue to be rented out that the city can
use. Something along those lines. I don't know where, what will end up happening there. I don't think there's anything official that the TDC is going to move there.
Right.
But there to be something, maybe again, when the time comes, maybe we can again, I think there needs to be more discussions and maybe
so would it be safe to say as someone who will be voting with for you.
Right.
And those that are on the fence still want to know what.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that on that topic, you're going to be that's needs to be highly scrutinized?
Yeah,
if you're not sold on the idea.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, again, we may not have any say on it because again, it's a county matter, and if they buy the lot, I mean, it's not, we have no say on that property.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
that.
so.
But you're going to voice this.
Yeah, I would say
when the time.
Yeah,
would
I mean,
arise, which I think is fair because, like I said, it is really on the beaten path too.
Right.
You're off.
Right.
It's like you're a little out there, and
right.
I don't really think a lot of people are going to go thinking 9th Street North is the new focal point of the town.
Exactly.
It will always be
the pier. Right. And so again, in your proximity to the
right.
pier there, and again, we're gonna get that new iconic pier.
Are we done on that?
Yeah, I think we're about done. I think that we're going to start moving forward. I think they're actually in the middle of getting bids at the moment to actually start bidding out.
But it's happening.
It's gonna.
For those that don't know, we're rebuilding the pier.
Yeah,
are we going cement?
My understanding is yes. The renderings.
Oh, can I throw a little something out for somebody?
Yeah.
She has a great idea. First of all, the boards that people buy. I hope we can find their original homes.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, that we have this really cool program that you can purchase or donate a board, and then you get your loved one.
Right.
Not all of it's mortality based.
Right.
Some of it is loved, but you buy a board and they imprint.
Yeah.
We're hoping, and actually I'll give her a shout out because Carla Klein.
She's another incredible.
She's advocating so politely about it. You see, we'll get into that next. But we're hoping that the wood gets utilized.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Maybe
we're hoping it doesn't just get burnt or something, But and then 2. Are we going? So we're going cement. I mean, that's that.
I think that's the the one up in St. Augustine Beach. That's the comparison I think I've had. And I'm again, don't quote me.
No,
I know we're going out. I think another 200. We're going to go back out to
we're extending.
Extend. Like when you were growing up and up here, you could go way out, right? Yep. So I think we're going to extend it back out pretty far. And it's going to look a lot like the one up there in St. Augustine. But where Salt Life Cafe is over there on that, I believe it's going to look a lot like that pier there. I know I was out waving my sign about 2 weeks ago, and an individual walked up to me and asked me about the pier. Can we keep the wooden structure? And she had some concerns. And I said, well, at the moment, I can't speak on these things. I'm not an elected official. I have no say. I'm just like you right now. Until I'm up there behind a chair, if I get that opportunity to serve, at this moment, all I can do is voice my concerns. I personally, I think it's a step in the right direction. I think because it's like we're constantly it seems like the pier's just after every storm, it's like a little bit, we're losing a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. So hopefully if we have something that's hardened, we're gonna be able to go out, and have something that's really good. So my thought is that I think and it's also a way of getting our 100th year, our centennial's coming up. So how cool would that be to have our new pier? And I agree. If we can't get the wood to the original owners, what about, maybe we put something on display in our museum,
building,
utilize it, or maybe we use upcycle it or something, or put it on display somewhere. Maybe we could put it, I don't know.
You're up for that?
Oh, absolutely. Maybe we could put it on.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe we could do something. Maybe we could do something and put it in the commission chambers, right? We have the Tommy Tance, we have his little memorial picture up on the wall there. It's a big, you've been in the chambers, right? I mean, it's a pretty big room there. I mean, so maybe we could put something. I mean, that's a big boards.
That you're open to the preservation of
absolutely.
It sounds so futile because it's just wood, but it's a big deal.
No, it is. I mean, that was somebody that invested that.
What do you feel? We're down to one person holding off on the piece of land.
Yeah.
For those that don't know. Out in Flagler, we're on the brink of being able to have dune renourishment program that I believe the state has.
The Army Corps of Engineers and the county.
I think it's the number is amazing. It's like 25 million or something, and something up there.
It's up there, and it would be for 50 years. This agreement would be so for we're seeing the old men sitting there at the park talking about things. We're
remember back in my day.
Exactly. Remember when they did that?
We were down. We needed unanimous agreement of the landowners on A1A.
Yeah.
Primarily south side.
So it's all south
because that was the most eroded area. Yeah. To agree to allow this thing. Now I understand. I'll say this politely. I'm glad I don't have to deal with it because I would be scared. Because who wants to trust the man? Okay.
Exactly.
I don't care what the number is. I don't care what's going on. I would see documents. I'd get a phone call and I would say not right now. just because I'm programmed to not trust the man. Now, what we needed them all to agree, or the state's going to say, "Or you figured out that." Now, Carla has been one of the most instrumental key figures, and she's a very out of the limelight character too. So for her to step up, that's when I knew. It's like someone who never gets injured on a sport, and they went down, and the whole everyone was like, if he went down, it's bad. Like when she stood up, I'm like, whatever it is, I'm in, because I love her. And if you don't know who Carla Klein is, go find her. She's an amazing human being, and her whole entire family. But so she was advocating and getting these people on. She came up with this wonderful program to not only educate them, et cetera, et cetera. We're down to one.
and you saw what she put on Facebook where we can write a nice. What does the beach mean to you? So for all you guys, take that time. I plan on writing something up about what it meant to me. Actually, that beach means the world to me, and seeing things through my daughter's eyes and that innocence, right, of letting her run on that beach and thinking in the back of my mind.
Does she want them sent to her, and she's gonna?
I believe so. There's instructions. There's a link there that she'll have on her Facebook page. I think it's on the Flagler Beach City Limits page.
Flagler Beach for Friends. I put it on a Flagler Beach events. I'll actually share it today too.
And I'll share it as well.
What they're saying is that write a letter. You don't have to necessarily address this person,
right?
But it's going to be sent to them.
Yes.
And what we're asking them to do is allow the state to basically do this dune renourishment program. And for those that don't know, they're going to be taking sand from way out, and dredging it and putting it along our coast. And listen, I'll be the first to play devil's advocate. It absolutely isn't a lifetime fix. I mean, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, let's be real. We're all just a bunch of ants that are colonizing anyways. And it's rather futile to be living near or on the water anyways. So for those that don't care or think that we're a bunch of idiots for living on the beach, you're right. But that's what we're doing. And A1A is important. It's a very highly commuted road to get places. It's important. But at the end of the day, it's not to beautify, it's to protect and help. And there's a lot of people whose livelihoods depend on that road and the functionality of getting,
100%
businesses. I cannot believe that half these business, like Johnny's and the Scotts and they're still open, considering that A1 they couldn't even get to their business. You couldn't. You had to do a maze.
And you really
the effort that it required for people to go, but it shows the love and the tenacity that we have as a community. So if you care and you want to get more educated about it, by the way, don't do what I'm saying or James saying. Do your own research.
Absolutely.
But there's plenty of literature out there. Write a little letter and send it, I believe, to Carla through the link on there, and she's going to be putting something together to try to get this person to understand that we need them to. We need it. But it's being out here for that experience. So we're in a flood zone, and most of the people on this block have flooded 0 to 5 times in less than 5 years.
That's crazy.
I've only gotten once, thank God. But most of my neighbor, the house across the street was a 4 feet water inside. So this whole plain is where I'm flood city. But that wouldn't change with necessarily ocean, because the water didn't come from there.
It's coastal. Coastal.
But if anyone came to me with hey, we just need to let them try this, I'd be like, what do we got to lose if it's not out of our pocket? But I guess ultimately, playing devil's advocate, I'm sure some way, somehow we're paying for it because it's taxes in this. But that makes me even that much more well, then let's use it, because it's our money.
It's a grant funded, and it's through the Army Corps of Engineers. And so what we could do is for that one holdout, we don't want to go eminent domain. That's what our our county lawyer, Al Hadid, he's doing a wonderful job. And what he presented at the last commission meeting. If anybody is interested, go watch that on YouTube. It was the last commission meeting. It was last Thursday. He did an amazing job presenting, and actually how he was able to present it to the one individual that was on the fence about it. He said they took a drone and they flew it over his property and said, your property lines go all the way out here, and you can't even see your land right now because the ocean's taking it over. He said, if you allow us to dredge, we're giving you more land back. And I think some of the concerns he had was the gentleman that was one of the holdouts, was that he came here because Flagler Beach had that old. This is what the beach looked like when he grew up here in Florida as a kid, and we're if not the only place that looks like that still to this day. lo and behold, he finally signed, which was pretty cool. And now we're down to this one. So I don't know if there's been those types of negotiations with the one holdout that we have. Again, we don't want to have to go eminent domain. We don't want to go that route. And I know that's been a clear message from the county. And
when does this have to? Isn't it coming up soon?
It is coming up. Yeah. So the Army Corps actually sent us a letter, sent the city manager a letter, and basically saying, we need to know where you stand with this. Not the city, maybe it was the county. It was the county, and then I got a copy of it, and then I'm going for giving you some of the information that's going on. So he, so they're really trying to work on it, and so the county kind of rebutted and said, this is where we're at. We're at that time it was 2 holdouts. Now we're down to 1. So I believe if everything goes moving and they go into the courts, now they can still negotiate during that time when they're in the courts to, they could, say, hey, we figured it out. We came to an agreement, and case closed. We're done. If I'm not mistaken, it would be by the end of the year we'll have this all figured out with the courts and everything. Right. And if all goes to plan, and unfortunately, if we have to use the eminent domain to,
I don't think we're going to have to do that.
No, I don't want us to have to do that either. It'd be the first time in the county's history ever that we've ever had to do something like that. So the plan would be then around this time next year. So again, we're going to be through hurricane season with this, but around this time next year,
that will shake some things up.
Yeah,
it's so funny because every time, I know you see it too, but I can't take a walk without bumping into like 5 new families, which I love.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, welcome home.
Yeah.
But those that when they're experiencing their first hurricane season, and we're out I'm like taking a walk and then 30-mile-an-hour wind,
Florida man,
and they're like, "What is going on?" I'm like, "It's okay, we're good." Until but now the thing is just flood. Like I don't care about wind, I don't care about debris. It's the water and the displacement of it, and it's big. But I like your outlook on a lot of these things, and I know not everyone's going to probably agree, and everyone's got an opinion, but it seems that I don't really resonate with a lot of the political terms in the world, conservative or liberal is, but I guess I would be labeled as probably one of I don't trust the man. So I like to evaluate. I like to think. Does this make sense, et cetera? And I think your outlook on a lot of the things that seem to be hot topics are, in my, Judge Judy says if it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. It makes sense, and to me, I don't like doing anything out of rash or irrational decisions. It's like chill, and if it makes sense, and I like it, and I like your outlook a lot of it. Would you say there's anything like black and white, considering like complete polar opposites when it comes to situations against like that separate you from a Jane Neely or because it seems like can we talk about that? Because I don't know. Like she agrees on this and that. Like I think a voter could educate on a voter.
So my 2 opponents, I would say, that I'm on the side of I try to be a little bit more fiscally conservative and try to be a little bit more of really be cognizant of the money you and I are paying to operate the city day in and day out. I want to be, that understanding of that and be cognizant. And so when we mention the parking, when we mention some of these other things, you got to look at the whole picture, right? So you can't just be focused on my property tax. Okay, but what can we do to maybe alleviate some of that? Property values have gone up, right? So that's a really good thing. Do we really truly need to increase taxes? I don't know yet. I get when budget season comes, that's going to be something. If I'm up there, I'm going to say, do we really need to raise our taxes? Look at the property values. And on top of that, I'm going to try to figure some things out if I want to before now and when our budget season comes up, because I'd like to know, one, what the average median price of a property is going for here now. The new. I mean, because down the road from Vincenzo, 1.9 million on South Flywood, or 1.6 million, excuse me, not even an ocean view, right? Another house on the corner from me, 779,000. Wow. Beautiful, right? But do we really need to increase our taxes if people are coming in and buying these properties and then they're going to be paying taxes?
So are you saying, in other words, is Jane for a increase?
I would say she's one that I think, what I see is that I think she's more for, tax increase. And I understand she's got years of experience and she sees things maybe a little bit differently than I do. And that's what makes us all unique in our own ways. But I think we also have to look at things of that, okay, we're not the Flagler Beach we were 10 years ago, right? We really aren't. I mean, because when I was here, we were a tired little beach town, but the times are changing, right? I mean, these new families are coming in, and we've got people, paying cash, $500,000 cash, right? So, and they're not blinking an eye at it. So the demographics here are changing a little bit. Not to say that So when I'm for if we don't have to raise taxes and we can survive off of what we can and look at things that. What you're going to get with me is someone that's going to analyze everything and really digest it and make an informed decision. Again, I want to make sure that, hey, okay, how's this going to impact you? Like if there was also how's it going to impact our citizens in that area? That people have been here for years and years and years. And I want to make sure that we're really looking at things holistically and looking at it from, I know I was maybe misquoted a little bit in Flagler Live. I'm looking at things on an ROI, so the return on investment, and that doesn't necessarily have to be monetary, right? It can also be just at a point of, okay, maybe we need these things, right? So, if you can explain to me why we need this, and we can really truly, you can explain to me why we need this in our budget, but at the same time, we're going to stick to our budget. That's what I want. We're going to, hey, this is what we approved then. We're not taking a pencil and penciling something in here. We'll adapt and overcome. This is what you gave us. Figure it out. We're not going to, I want to make sure that it's a fiscal responsibility as an elect. So I'm passionate about this. It's a fiscal responsibility that I have if I'm elected as your commissioner, that I want to make sure that money that you're taking from your taxes is we're utilizing it, and we're not trying to, do anything that we outside of anything, like try to keep up with the, keep up with the Joneses or whatever that expression is. I'll make sure we're not doing that. We're not gonna. We need to spend money. We need to get us.
I think in congruency to what you're talking about, the one thing that does weigh on my heart from a citizen here is I want to see. I have such a love for, and I'm not just saying this to win a Grammy Award here. Our men in uniform and women in uniform, and Chief, like he's so pragmatic and knows that development's going on.
Yeah.
We have a very small but yet impactful force.
We do.
We have a small force.
We do.
And for those that don't know, don't take that lightly. We'll get you.
Oh,
don't be trying to do some shit out there.
That's true.
We got a small force, man. And Chief it kills me because Chief it doesn't even come off on the stance of complaining.
No.
But when he's out there, I love seeing him out and oh my God, Chief, I love you. God, I love you. But the way he handles himself, not only from a human's perspective, but from an official of where he's at, he takes it so seriously. But I know our guys are so underpaid, specifically our guys, because at any of the county and stuff, and all men and women in uniform, in my opinion, are all underpaid. But I don't even want to tell you what our men and women are getting paid here, because in my opinion, it's horrible. And it's no one's fault. I know the chimes are changing and this and that, but if you guys want to find out, like, it kills me. Now, and also what that does to him is that makes people leave.
Yeah.
We're like, there's teams that I follow in soccer that they go there to learn and get good, and then they get sold. Exactly. That's kind of what he's doing. Exactly. I know that the dollar amount that it costs to train, hire, etc., is in the six figures. Exactly. And then by the time they're good, and you can't blame these young guys or women, because then they're like, wait a minute, guy, I got a family, I can't live off of X, and then they can go down 30 miles, not even. I'm hoping we can make that difference. I know we're going to have to pay for it. They call it the millage rate or something.
Yeah, millage rate. That's right. So
that's a scary word.
So, and it's a good point.
Are you into that?
Yeah. Well, that's where your taxes come from, right? The millage rate. So my thought is that, we do have some other developments coming in. We're going to have impact fees and different things, but the impact fees are a one-time thing, but we're going to have additional revenues coming in, revenue streams from properties.
And you're hoping that will help
subsidize that to help maybe offset maybe give our men in blue and our men and women in blue and our men and women in red, our fire department, keep them the competitive wages and keep those good people around. Because you're right. That's what happens if you're underpaid. It's happening all the time. It is. And it's nothing personal for them. It's a business decision, and they have to take care of their families, right? I mean,
you do see the need for.
I do. If they can show me that, and I have a soft spot for obviously our first responders, because they put a blank check on their life every single day for us. I remember, and you probably remember this, and I go back to this story all the time because it strikes a nerve with me in my heart. When on Easter 2020, house burnt down on 21st.
Oh, I remember this.
And that to me showed you how amazing this. To me, I saw it and I see our first responders all the time. I wrote Mr. Whitson an email 2 weeks ago when I saw a guy fall off his bike, and our police were there like that.
Yep.
Fire EMS were there, cleaning him up. Got the guy a ride home. Got him out. Got him out. Great, wonderful. They were wonderful with him. They weren't, forceful. Nothing. Just really, really good. But when that fire happened, they saved multiple structures from burning down. They saved, unfortunately that one house did burn down, but they saved a lot of other neighbors' homes. Yep. And they went in there and didn't even think twice about it. And they were there. And there might not be a lot of fires here, but they need to be taken care of. They're amazing individuals that.
And I didn't know this too, but they get called a lot over the bridge.
They do, and I'm sure their proximity to.
And we don't get that county money.
No, maybe they give us a little bit to offset. Not like what they're.
We get calls all the time. Yeah, and it's going to get. I don't say worse. The word worse isn't right. But busier.
And there you go. What do we got going on across the water? Right, the Gardens project, right? And then we've got. Like I said,
is there something going into near Wadsworth? Chief just told me.
Roberts Road there. Yeah. So that got approved over the summer.
Crazy.
Yeah, and that is in our.
For those that don't know, over the bridge to the right is Wadsworth Park.
Yep.
And there's going to be a development. Going in there.
Two of them.
Incredible. So that's going to change.
And then luxury apartments, and they are going in, and again that could be some. Assistance to help us out. I believe they helped contribute I think it was for a new garbage. They're going to help pay for our new garbage truck, or they helped contribute to that. They're going to help with that. But at the same time, what's that going to do to us?
Our infrastructure.
It's going to drain it's going to pull on our infrastructure that we're going to, again, these are things that we're trying to fix now.
Right.
And we're looking at, how's that going to affect our first responders, right? Specifically our police. That's a lot more area for them to cover.
That's what Chief's concerned about.
And I have those same concerns. So we're going to have to look at getting additional first responders here. Right. And again, how do we do that? We're going to have to give them a competitive wage because, like you said, I read up on that stuff just to see what a sheriff's making these days, and I think our sheriffs, and rightfully so, in Flagler County, they're starting out in the 40s. Right. And so, but again, they're policing Palm Coast, and we're this small little town, but we have expenses too. So taking care of our, if your house is on fire, or if you're in a pickle and you're getting, you got somebody breaking in your house, you want. One
of the most coolest. Moments that I ever had. Well, I've had a lot with Chief Downey, but first he also taught me you're only as good as your last 24. He did the podcast and taught me. I use it all the time, Chief.
That's awesome.
But we were in one of those, and I'm guilty as charged. I don't attend as many as the actual functions that I should, and this one I did because he called me personally and was like, "Just come." And he just wanted us to be there to hear it was a big deal. I think it had to do with the millage rate. This was about a year or so, 2 years ago.
Okay.
Long story short, Chief's time to get up there, and he just said, "Man, I love it." He goes, "How many in this room have my personal cell number?" And it's not the biggest room, but it was a sold out crowd,
right?
And all of us go
"Yep."
We all look around. And I'm like, "Damn, I thought I was special though." No, I'm just kidding. I was like, "Damn." So we all have, and now look, I hope that those that have it don't abuse it because I've called the hotline a couple times, but it's usually it's been well warranted.
Exactly.
I try not to be like, "Hey, Chief, there's a sea turtle on the side of the road." I don't try to bother you too much, but it was amazing to see how, I'll use the word, spoiled we are as a small city.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he's always available.
He is.
And not a lot of guys at that level because of, who doesn't want to be the untouchable, you got to go to this guy and this guy. He's got people that are in place to avoid that, but he puts himself in a position.
Oh, absolutely.
And that was gorgeous how he handled that to illustrate, I'm here for you. Be here for me now.
He does.
It's awesome.
And it's funny you say that. I try not to, I know they've got a lot on their plates, right? Again,
there's a bird.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the commission meetings I actually brought up on the corner of South Flagler and 18th and 19th there's a lot of overgrown trees, right? So you couldn't see. Let me tell you, that was on Thursday. By Friday, Chief's emailing me saying, I got this taken care of for you. Here's the pictures. By Monday or Tuesday, he's sending me pictures already of them, the crew coming out there and cleaning it up.
You don't play, man.
He doesn't. And, you know, he makes a point. It's really cool about this town, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're a small, cool town that everybody kind of knows everybody somehow, right? And so he always says to me, how's things at Embry-Riddle? Every time he sees me, how are things at Riddle? And, you know, and it's cool. He's a South Daytona boy too.
Yeah, he is.
So him and I have a lot of commonalities. My father owned a restaurant down there before. And so we talk about that. I said, my father used to feed the police officers before they would start their shifts. And they would come in, you know, and, they'd check, hey, my dad's name's Steve, you know, they'd come and check on the business and, you know, so everything's good. You know, my grandfather was a little bit of a renegade towards the end of his years. So they'd go check on Bill, which is my grandfather's name. And, you know, so anyway, but that, you know, he knew all the police officers. I would tell him. And even a guy that I grew up with, he's your age, actually, 2 years older than me. And he's one of the officers in South Daytona. He goes, yeah, he used to work at Circle S. I'm like, yeah, man. Like, you know, and, you know, so it was really cool that, you know, we have that commonality. But, you know, what you get with him is someone that just truly cares about this community and is just an amazing individual. I mean, for people that don't know our police chief, get to know him.
He's not as cool as Carla.
No, Carla's amazing.
You got it. It's awesome whenever he stops and hangs out with me for a minute.
Yeah.
I always have the privilege of being able to introduce him to somebody. And I'm always like, you don't know me? Yeah. But he's such an amazing human being. But just like this, and I mean this sincerely, no joke. I say this a lot during the show, but the reason why I love doing it in person and on Zoom is there's an energy, and you got a great energy.
Oh, I appreciate it, man.
And I can feel it. And I know you're human, and I know you're probably going to still fuck up, and you're going to probably do things that a lot of people don't like. It just in life, but I like you.
I appreciate it, man.
I support you. And the minute we had our first call, I got a good vibe. And I'm not like the world's dictation of who's good, bad, and this, but I got a good sense of just, I like you, man. I think you vibe well, and I think you got a wonderful hunger. And like, I don't know. I know, once again, I say this and reiterate it, all those people, it's just like being a first responder. You have to be somewhat crazy. Yeah. Like, you know, you're gonna be dealing with blood, guts and gore. And my hat goes off to those. And I know you're going to be walking into a chaos. Yeah. So I admire you, but I also think you're crazy. Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah. So I go into that with love, and I'm glad that I really have a strong feeling that. What would you say if someone's only gonna take 10 to 15 minutes or 5 minutes to hear you? Yeah. What would be your what do you want?
Yeah. So I mean, what you're gonna get with me is someone that's like invested in this community, right? I mean, like I said, my wife and I we didn't come back from Hawaii because we were running away. We came back here because
you left paradise.
We left paradise for another paradise to raise our daughter, where we always thought that this is where we were going to be. I'm in it for the long run here, right. And I want to preserve what we have here, and I want to bring a fresh perspective up on that commission of, you know, some forward thinking of what we need to do as a city to get us up to the times with our infrastructure. Really ensure that we're doing the things that we need to do. Also to show the county, like, if when we need to go to the county and ask them for additional funds, we're doing some things to help ourselves. We're trying to find different ways to get some other revenues, and, you know,
spearheading.
Yeah, absolutely. Just, you got to be willing to help yourself. Additionally, I think we do those things. So nothing against, just a different, it's just, again, a little bit of different energy up there. I also want to be able to put myself out there. I think, sometimes what you see is, I know a few people have said this before, you have your keyboard warriors, right? Step out from behind the keyboard. Let's talk. Let's go support one of our amazing local businesses. Let's go get coffee. That's one of the things I'm going to try to do. Maybe it's monthly.
Will you be available?
I will be. I'm going to, even if it's a Saturday from 9 to 11, I'm going to listen. I just want to listen.
That's awesome.
What's your problems? What can I do to ease those? Do you want me to bring these to the city manager? Do we need to bring those up at the commission meeting? Do I I can bring it up in my commission comments if I get up there? Those are some of the things I want to do. I want to be a voice of the people, and really just show people that's what I want to do, and be that voice of anybody can. I'm an approachable guy. I'll come out to wherever you are. I know there was there's a gentleman down on Lakeshore Drive. They're going to build a park down there, and we talked. I listened. I wanted to know what some of his concerns were with the park that was going in, some of the costs and different things that were some concerns. But we've got some really great commissioners up there that are looking to do some things to try to bring those costs down. It's a grant funded thing, But the reason why we're moving on this, so a lot of people understand, is that we don't want this. It's part of the Powell Parker Preserve over there, down on 25th. It's off the lake, further south, right before you get to like the oh gosh, yeah, right. It's further south down, on the south, just past Jamie's place, maybe right in that neighborhood over there. Anyway, me and the gentleman and a couple of the neighbors, they came out. We talked for about 2.5 hours. I just sat there and listened, talked. He gave me a printout of where maybe some of his concerns were.
Right.
And I said, okay, let's look at this. I understand maybe with the parking and, different things where we might have some concerns, and then the costs. Well, I went to this, Penny, our city clerk, who's amazing as well. We have some really amazing city employees, by the way, as well.
Right.
And so Penny she went to the finance director, and she got the numbers and gave them right back to me. And then I relayed that to the gentleman in his group that they have there, Mr. Scott's his name, and Mr. Scott and I've been emailing constantly after that, and we'll keep an eye on things. And it's another thing, I know that again kind of circles us back to Chief Downey. I know Chief Downey will keep an eye, but we want to make sure we put that park there so it stops maybe a developer that wants to try to come in and build some high rise. Can't build high rise condos, but it's a nice cute little dirt road over there on Lake Shore. And let's keep it, keep it the city. Let's keep it in our, so I want to preserve certain things here, keep what we have, but also we have to be on the right side of develop with the growth. I mean, as you know, anybody that lives here, there's not very many vacant lots left. But I think the hotel, honestly, or motel is going to be the last really big thing we're going to have here in town. You're going to have a little business, obviously we know we're going to have
for the next 50 to 100 years.
50, easily, things will change.
Dubai is coming.
Exactly.
Right.
So we'll have, we'll maybe have some, really true in our, probably Noah's lifetime, we'll remember Genzo when we had this hotel come in, oh my gosh, remember that was the talk of the town, and I think that's our last real big thing that we're going to have here. Yeah, we'll have homes pop up. What we're seeing is
there's not too much land.
There's not. And there's some homes, older homes might be getting torn down, and we're building. People are building up and building. Maybe some different things. But I think that's the extent of what we have. But let's preserve this little bit. Let's keep that. Really that I like to think that we really are like a time kind of stood still here a little bit in certain ways, and let's try to keep that way.
But I do get this sense of you too that you are open to, like, for instance, I think we would be
knuckleheads
not to entertain the notion of having some paid parking somewhere.
100%.
The infrastructure, parking wise, with even 4th of July. We need. It's coming whether we want it or not.
It is, and that's right. Palm Coast is growing exponentially over there.
It's
and then, I got a buddy of mine. He lives out. A buddy I work with, good guy. He's got 5 acres out in Bunnell, right? Bunnell, him and I chat all the time. And he's like, I just hope Bunnell, just stays Bunnell. I was like, there's so much land out there, right? And so, he's kind of has some of the same concerns. I'm like, Palm Coast has just gotten so big, and that's the other thing too. We got to look at things. I think people that understand, I think a lot of people that have been here a long time can understand certain things. Flagler Beach and Bunnell have been here a lot longer than. Nothing against Palm Coast.
No, I know,
but they are the big fish in our small county now. And, we had things a certain way here, and there's certain things that we were able to do, without having large, you probably remember growing up as a kid. Yeah, people came over here, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I think the biggest attraction, exactly. I remember going to Marineland in kindergarten and thinking that was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Yep. And, that was my first experience. I guess that was my earliest experiences here, going to Marineland and seeing the dolphins, right? And it was the closest thing that I ever would have.
And they had the electric eel, and they played John Denver.
It was a cool.
Oh wait, no, that was in the theater. They had the theater, and they fly away. Yeah, that's John Denver, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I can close my eyes and I'm in that theater.
Oh yeah,
that was the only cool part of it. Actual cool, temperature cool. Remember the pirate ship and the thing you could play?
Yeah.
But no, I know what you mean. But it's coming. And for those that are actually Flagler Beach residents or frequent here, you can't walk 2 blocks without seeing people that have just moved here from another state, even out of the country. There's some, and those that are well traveled and know beachside towns. This is not normal.
It's
not.
It's
as soon as you get out of Flagler, for those that don't know,
Yeah.
you start hitting buildings
Yeah,
on the right side
exactly.
where the undisrupted view. You can
Exactly.
post that, and it may not always be hit.
No.
And I can play just as much devil's advocate as I can Gandhi and say it's beautiful out here. We're idiots. I understand coastal people. We're not
Right.
thinking long term. It's
Yeah.
when you look at it on a map or a view,
Water might
we're a bunch of ants just
Yeah.
trying to look at the water and enjoy the scenery. But we're on a barrier island.
Right.
It's pretty. When I saw this place flood and saw footage of it,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, we're pretty stupid. Why
Yeah.
would we even build this way?
It comes with the territory, right? I mean, and it's
But-
funny you say these things because my mother and my aunt and uncle, they grew up on a little island outside of Atlantic City, and you know, so my uncle and I talk a lot. You know, great guy, and we talk about about the beach. You know, one of the things came up about the beach passes, and him and my aunt go. They live in Philadelphia right now, and so they go over to this little island called Brigantine, and they'll go over and go get their beach pass early. So then they have their tag, and and he's like, they don't think twice about paying to go to the beach. And I'm not saying that we have to have paid, but it's something that we're not again. We're going 100 years. No, we're not, and we need to. I know some will maybe play devil's advocate with me and say we don't have a parking problem. There's an expression that a few people will say, it's that we need to get people educated on the parking. So I said, okay, what I'm going to do is, even if I don't get elected, I think I'm going to just on a Saturday or Sunday, as things pick up, and then I'm going to pick a day during the week. I'm going to ride my bike or just go for a walk around town and look at the vacant parking lots. I know there's some talks of
by Golden Lion,
and there, some of the people, one of the commissioners said yesterday when we were on the radio show, oh, well, the CRA district, we created that so everything's walkable, and it's just people need to be willing to walk a little bit further. Okay, touche. I understand that, but let's really think about that. Let's look at this again. Let's reanalyze it. I mean, I know, you're right. There's not a lot of parking. There's maybe the vacant lot over there behind Shell Station on the south side, but I don't know. I don't know if we've had.
There's really not.
There's not much left.
I don't agree with the statement. It's not a parking, but it is. But there's no. And the thing is that even if there's, I mean, look at the society that we live in now. If it's not now, they don't want it. So no one's going to even. I don't even drive to the center flagler. Right. But if you're going to go to the center flagler and try to park anywhere, you're not parking near the establishment. No. Go to try to park at Finn's.
Yeah. Oh, forget about it.
High volume time. You're not. You're going to think you're going to Beachfront Grill. Right. You have to park that far away. So we do have a problem. I just think you go to any other city. Yeah. I'm all for bringing in incremental revenue streams by charging for parking, or not to be a deterrent though.
No,
it's just simple science. I remember I don't actually remember a time that you couldn't pay to park in St. Augustine's downtown district. And then I do remember when they went digital, and I remember like, shit, man, they're really keeping up with the times. Yeah. Like, now granted, those that are OGs know where to park without paying. There's still spots out there. Yeah. But you got to pay to park, or you go on the beach. You go down to Crescent Beach, you pay, still you got to pay to go on.
Exactly.
So I don't think we need to become money hungry and put that first, but we're not going to, I mean, dude, I was at what is it, President's Day the other day? Yeah. No, that sounds so anti-patriotic.
Yeah, it's President's Day, yeah.
And everyone was off. It was just a Monday, I think. Right. Dude, the traffic started by 15th North. I'm going into town, and I'm like, holy shit. Yep. And they're getting smarter, where it used to just be A1A, and if you went Central, it was not busy, and then especially Daytona. Yeah. Now it's and it's turning into it's getting busier, and I'm all for it. I mean, there are some old flagler salts that I'm sure when I'm older. I'll be like, damn, I remember when it was this, but it's, look, you're blessed with having 100 years if you're lucky, if that. Exactly. Sound mind, sound body, maybe 80, and what do you're not gonna, no one's gonna remember you in 200 from your head anyways. So I try to focus on the 6 inches in front of my face. Yep. I try to save what I can save. Exactly. But that's a compound effect, and it works. And I think you have a lot of that in you, and I vibe with it, and like I said, and I know you're going to be up against a lot. It's not going to be gumdrops and roses.
No, it's not. And I mean, I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to work with, if I get up there, to work with those commissioners. And
I think it's a great era too, because I love Cooley. I love Jane. His emails are actually say Joseph, that's what I'm saying. But the guy, I love all of our guys
Yeah.
up there and women. And Deborah, all of them.
She's wonderful.
And Ken is like,
he's
man, the story. I just love it's like slowly but sure. And I love Jane too.
Yeah.
I've known Jane for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, I think it's time for some. I think what I would say today, because I'm going to go out Wednesdays on my play day.
Yeah.
So today I'm going to go play, and I've been saying this. I describe you as someone who's invested in this area.
Absolutely.
And has a wonderful background of OG County Flagler.
Yeah.
And I like your youthful feel to what you're bringing. I like your outlook because the decisions that you're going to make, and I know that sounds biased because maybe there's some people out there that are thinking maybe you're going to bring too much optimistic change in this.
Yeah.
But here's my point. I am 30-0 and I am invested in this community, and I want to. I don't care. I don't think change is even the appropriate way of description. It would be more of, let's be smart, let's be agile, and let's make sure that the money we are spending and the money that we can make is being utilized to its fullest capabilities.
Exactly.
That's it, man.
And on the parking side of things, I want to be clear on that too, is that...
What were you misquoted on Flagler Live?
There was a couple of things, like one of them was about 24 hours in a day. Well, he said there's only... I guess they quoted me as I guess they're saying that I can only do so much in 24 hours. No, what I was getting at to the individual that asked me about working a full-time job and, doing this and raising a family, that's why we have our city manager, right? And we're just there to kind of, if we have, we need to manage things and make sure we're, things are getting done. That's what really truly is a commission. And we're voting on ordinances and approving budgets and, different things. But the city manager really day to day is running our operations. And then the commission and, our mayor, we come in and we attend meetings and workshops and our every 2 week commission meetings. So what I was saying is there's 24 hours in a day, right? And I function on 4 hours sleep typically. You might get an email from me at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's just how I function.
Right.
If I know something needs to get done, it's going to get done. And it's not going to be just something like, I'm going to cry, I'm going to give you my half effort. No, it's going to be 100% of what I'm going to give you. And everything I'm going to look at is truly, it's going to be, I want to go back to is that I want to make sure that, everyone looking at things thoroughly and making sure I'm making the right decision for the people that put me here. And I'm not going to lose sight of that.
Right.
And there was another thing that he said, oh, well, in the Marine Corps, we have a quote, right? It's a way, I call it our way of life, and it's called Semper Fidelis, right? And I think enemy's always faithful. And I will be faithful to the residents here. And he, the Flagler officer said, until, anybody will learn that the first week. No, I don't think that's the case. I think that my faithfulness is going to be based on decisions that I feel like are going to be best for the people that put me there and the people that live here and, are invested in this community. Nothing's going to be for selfish reasons. It's all going to be about how's this going to help you and I, right? And the people that are here, retiring here, and how's it going to really impact our future generations, our little kids that are coming up here now and surfing here and enjoying the beach. And, I want them to be able to be in our position here, when they're in their 30 somethings and you have somebody that has that aspiration to give back to the community that gave them so much as a kid.
Right.
I want them to, know that the people that are in those elected positions are trying to preserve the way of life here. And at the same time, embrace some of the things that we need to do to keep it this way.
Yep.
And not, I want us to be on the right side of development because again, it's coming. I want us to be branded a little bit more. And, I think those are some things that I think we can do. We can do that. And I think it's just a matter of making sure we enforce those things and make sure that, we have our, there's a lot of different things. I don't want to bore you with the CRA district stuff. And
what's that acronym stand for?
It's community. Oh my gosh.
Community relations.
There was an act that was passed back in the 60s.
Okay.
I apologize, my listeners. I don't know the full. It's Community Relations Act. I think it's something. The R, I'm not 100%.
But it's important.
Yeah. And so we have an area that's outlined in the city that's the CRA district, right? So within our CRA district, we have some different things that can happen. So I don't know if you realize that, we have the power lines were buried in the CRA district. We have beautiful parking. We've got the nice, it's very branded, and that's like our center of the city. That's where they want where the visitors flock to, and funky pelicans there. Like you said, the parking, and that's something that we have there. And so with that, there's parts where residents can put in like $2,000 into their home for improvements to beautify it, and then they can get requests for some of that back in a grant that with grants from the city. But what I want to see in that CRA district is I'd like to see us branded a little bit more clean. I think
how far does the CRA district go to?
It starts in downtown. I believe it stops at 7th. Yeah. So I think it's like 7th or 8th. I think it stops.
So
right
there is
around
incentive of being in the river.
Yeah.
All right, I see you,
and
folks.
it's more actually a little bit bleeds over to like where Finn's is over there.
Okay.
I have the map in my truck.
That's interesting. I've never heard of this.
Yeah, and so there's a whole fund and everything. I mean, Jane actually oversees it. Because she's the elected commissioner that's over that. And then we actually have a CRA director that actually just started with us. She just started. She was with us for 11 years. She left and now she's back with us. I don't know her name off the top of my head.
Carney?
No. She I don't know her name. But we just got to.
I gotta get involved in the CRA, bro.
Yeah. So and
let's bleed it out to 20 of them.
Yeah. So it's like we can find ways that
that's great.
Beautify it. And I think the hotel will really be at the center of that.
When's the hotel supposed to open?
So I believe I think it's gonna take 3 years. I believe somewhere around there.
When's it supposed to break ground?
Break ground, I believe, is this summer. Now, I'm not gonna hold my breath on that because the Bank of America. Where Bank of America was, that was supposed to break ground over the summer.
Are they demolishing that building?
No, they're going to remodel it.
Yeah,
they're going to put some store. So where the drive-through is there, they're going to put some storefronts there, and I believe there's supposed to be. That's And the concern I have though is we have, and that's the other concern I have is A1A. We don't have control over. That's controlled by the state.
Yep.
But one of the things is I'd like to. That's one I think. I have some agenda items that I have at the top of my list if I get elected, and A1A is one of them. I want to make sure that we're getting the state out here to do what they need to do to maintain that because think about it. That's our main road, right? That's our bloodline to get out off, and so I've noticed some things. I shouldn't really put it out there, but I've noticed some things within the drainage systems. I was pointing out, like they got the flowers now growing over our water drains, and I was going to bring that up as one of my first things is that we need to.
Are they supposed to be maintaining that?
They are. It's maintained by the state, so we have no. So like if somebody was like, we have a lot of residents that'll say the speed limit, right? So up here by you, it's 45. Yeah. Right. By me, it's 25.
I know.
So, but we have no control over that. We have to take it to FDOT. Me personally, I think we need to have an FDOT workshop. That's something I think that's how much we have.
Is it 25 indefinitely too?
I
thought it was supposed to only be.
I thought it was only during the construction, but I think now they've decided
that's 25.
Right. It's
I'm going 25.
Yeah. It really. Because it's because remember it used to go. I remember when I was living here, with my wife and I, when it was 45 in front of our house. Right. It went 45, and then went to creep to 35, and then once she got past this water tower, it was like rips to 55 further south. But there's still parts of the A1A, so like just past Jamie's, it's 40. It's 45, and then I can't remember. It starts pretty early up here on your side, doesn't it? It's like
I think it stays 35 past breaks.
Yep.
And then once you about to hit, I think the Aliki-ish area.
It pumps up to 45 there.
That 25, bro.
Yeah.
I don't even take A1A half the time if I'm going to Oceanside.
Yeah.
I just take not to rip it, but like just because. Well, also too because it's almost nervy to be driving in between. It's like riding the bumper cars in Disney back in the day. You're like trying to stay in because it's just a weird thing. But it goes to show once again that like the importance of that road and the erosion factor and like how crazy like when that was gone.
It is. I mean, and we saw and that's it where the road broke. Right. Mm-hmm. We're in Hawaii, and my mother-in-law's house is on A1A. And my heart's breaking seeing this, right? My heart is here in Flagler Beach. My body's in Hawaii during that time. And I was fixated on the TV. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Tony was driving around.
I was watching the Facebook Live. I'm like, oh my gosh, because the road's broken. And, my neighbors that were renting across the way from my mother-in-law, they kind of kept us in the loop of what was going on with the house. Then we were checking with my father-in-law, my parents, everybody's down here still. So we're just worried about them on top of all these other things. And, specifically by because the way Matthew came, I mean, that brushed our coast. And, as we know, that surf was serious business. And, so I think A1A is going to be one of the top, obviously.
So you want to hold the state to do it?
Absolutely. They need to be held to a state. I think we need to put together a comprehensive, we have some strategic planning starting. So April 26th, there will be this. We're going to start. The city's going to start the strategic plan. And if I'm elected, I'm itching to get on that. That is what I think. That's going to. We started it last year. I say we, the city, right? The city started in April. Or not April. They started back in 2021. They laid the foundation for it, and it's a pretty good plan. But now it's to build upon that strategic plan.
Right.
And A1A is one that I think we need to really hone in on. Like I think our mayor Susie, she had mentioned I know she lives over here on the north side, and she was mentioning about how the cars, because you guys can have parking here on the north side on A1A, how the cars have creeped further and further over onto the dunes. Mm-hmm. And maybe some people aren't going to like a stick and rope, but we need it. We do. I mean,
where we really need it is in front of Blue at Topaz.
Oh, it's and people,
they don't even. I don't want to sound like I said try to save the world.
No,
save the whales. But like, dude,
I
don't know. It is what it is. They're never going to do it.
Yeah.
But that's going to be the first place to go.
It is.
They literally, it's already now just because everybody just walks right over.
It's so funny you say that. My father-in-law, he had, Wilbur, if you're listening, I love you. He told me and my wife and my mother-in-law, he told us that he swears up and down by 18th there was I don't know if it's true that there was an inlet at some time there. I don't know if it's true or not, but he said years and years. I actually this is years ago. I actually went to the museum and actually asked that same question. They didn't know about it, but I guess for some of the people that have been here a long time, there was a fish camp there. So like on 18th on South Central, he's building a nice 2 properties now there, but there's down the hill there.
Okay.
I think Mr. Pelosi, is it Pelosi?
Yeah.
He actually did the design there. Well, there's a home down there on the hill. I guess it used to be. My father-in-law said it used to be a fish camp there, and people would fish over there. But anyway, that's
that's going to be the first.
Yeah, that's that part. But you're absolutely right.
But I'm all for the ropes and this and that because it's bad, especially in high tourist. Like we're turning it like going into season. People, and it's just it's tough because there's a point of educating people because they're coming from states that are inland and they're like, oh, I didn't know.
Yep.
I've lost my umph to like but there seems to be a lot of people that just don't care.
They don't
habitual abusers and like that's a whole people that are like I don't care, I'm going, I'm not walking the extra block. But I think it's something to be said about the dune renourishment in general or the keep conservation of is huge. But voting's March 8th.
March 8th is voting, and
some people already voted.
Yeah, so I believe.
Can you see already?
I cannot. I actually asked Penny.
I know you got a couple.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I know Penny said about 500. This was on Thursday when I was at the commission meeting. I asked Penny. I said, "Do you know how many people have voted already?" So she said there was somewhere in the ballpark about 500.
That's awesome.
So March 8th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. At the City Hall building there. It's the only location where we'll have the election because the only item you're going to be voting on is for the commission seats that are up here in March. And, I'm the James Patrick Sherman's my name. I'm the third one on the ballot. They put, alphabetically here. So that'll be there. And just to kind of go back real quick, for the sake of time, I know we're wrapping up here, but about the parking situation, you're right. We need to educating people, but again, that again, it's that protectiveness of our community here, right? We want to make sure that people are educated. We've already mentioned I say we, but the city's mentioned at the commission meetings. I think a few of the commissioners mentioned we need stricter signage. We need certain things out there. And so it's like, okay, we've mentioned these things. Now let's put the wheels into motion.
That whole turtle with the cone thing. I'm sorry. I could say it as a whole waste.
Yeah.
Did nothing. It was like all this novel approach and like trying to educate people and the cute little turtle. It didn't even there's nothing cute about not parking somewhere.
Well,
it's called caution colors.
And
I didn't get that approach at all from a marketing guy.
No,
I'm like, why are we making the non-parking cute?
Yeah, no, it's
a turtle with a cone on its back, and it looks like a character of that you want to buy.
Yeah, no,
not
absolutely.
avoid.
Yeah, absolutely.
It didn't make any sense to me.
And that's the other thing too is like I think we need like you said, it's educating. Right?
That was the county though, wasn't it?
I believe so.
It wasn't us.
No, I don't think so. And that's the thing too. It's like we have to. That's where we got to work together with the county a little bit too because we have that relationship with the county. The county has part of the beaches
Right.
like that, and but we're the city that's all, so we've got to make sure we have that open line of communication with the county. And, I think we have a pretty good relationship overall, but I'd like to see more conversations with them. But yeah, March 8th is election day. Looking forward to serving this community.
You have anything from now till then?
Yeah. So I'll be at First Friday.
Okay.
I'll have a table there. Might have some candy bars. So come by and get a candy bar. I might be out this weekend waving some signs. It might not be my original James Sherman. It might be something else. So be on the lookout.
Nice.
And then I don't want to overpromise, underdeliver, but I'm maybe trying to work on a little something before now and then. And
so
then,
for those that are trying to get another one.
And then 97.3, I'll be on with Vern.
Okay.
Our world
Never
famous,
heard of him.
No, Vern, Mr. Shank. He's a great guy. I'm actually going to be on 97.3 at 3:00 on Monday to talk a little bit more. Thanks. I got an awesome website, so you can always come check out my website. I heard it.
Actually, I'm going to put it on there.
Okay, yeah. If you want to get a hold of me, you can contact me on my website, learn a little bit more about me. But I feel like if you listen to this podcast and playback, you're going to get to know a little bit more about me and about what I'm about. And what I want you to know is if you have something you want to talk about it, hey, I'm all ears.
You seem very readily accessible.
Yeah, I will be.
Like you're open to tough convo.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to me. If you don't, and I will be the first. If I don't make the right decision, I will acknowledge my faults.
Right.
So don't ever think that I'm just going to play it off that I'm not.
Well, you seem humble too to accept. Like if you don't know something, you seem to be honest and say, I don't know. I don't really know right
now. No, and that's it. If I don't know the answer, I promise you, I'll find you the answer. I mean, that's like a lot of what I do at my daily job is that if I don't understand how this course could tie to one of our engineering courses, I'm like, we'll get the documents together. We'll ask for the documents from the student. We'll try to review it and see if we can make a decision on it. And if we can't, we get it to the experts. And that's what I'll do. Hey, well, what's the reasoning behind this? Or what materials are you using to build this? Is this okay? I'm not a builder. I'm not an engineer by trade, but I can get you to
the right find out the answers.
Exactly. And we can talk,
What I like to is that you're invested in. For those that are like me, that have whether you're new to this area, in my opinion, or old, and you want a youthful outlook on it, because like I said, the golden question I would have for you is that you're staying. Yeah. There's a lot of people in our position right now that ain't staying. Yeah. They're making a tremendous amount of money on that equity, and they're bouncing or reinvesting, but they're not staying. But if you're staying, you got me. Yeah. I love what you're standing for, and I like that. You got this proactivity / pragmatic way of you, and I think it's awesome that for those that aren't certain yet on a vote, do your research and hold everyone accountable to the questions that you have. And you may not like the answers, but ask. Yeah. And I've done that, and I like I said, I really appreciate you. And so you'll be there this first Friday.
I'll have a little table out there. I typically don't put a tent up. I have a tent, but I figure,
you'll be there.
I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be standing out there. I'll have probably a ball cap on, and just come by and say, hey, you want to talk for a few minutes? I'm all ears.
And all your contact information will be on the website that I'll be tagging. And you've always been you're responsive, man. So I
try. I really do. Like I said, typically, my wife works from home, so we have a really good work balance. So my mother-in-law is just a saint. She really helps us out with our daughter a lot during the week. But typically, you might not be able to get me readily available between 5 and 8:30. But I can, shoot me an email, text, or something. I'll get back to you relatively quickly. And again, if it's something we need to talk about, I'll pick up the phone and call you. Or let's go support a local business. Let's go get some coffee, talk about it, have a coffee talk. And that's that's what I want to do, is be a voice of the, really truly put myself out there to the citizens. And I can't say I can fix everything, but maybe you can understand the hows or whys.
The Shermanator can fix everything.
I don't know. I'm not the Shermanator from American Pie. I mean, he, for those that, again, it's kind of showing our age, right? We're getting old now, right? Because who's gonna get that?
I was funny. I bumped into somebody at soccer the other day that's like old, new. They used to there, and they're like, "Oh man, I'm old, man. I graduated they said 2010 or something." I'm like, bro, 2002.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's funny because we identify as I try to identify more as you two. We're Gen X.
Are we Gen X?
We're Gen X, millennial. We're in that in between phase. So it's like
I feel like we're just. I almost want to be just the internet, the
Nintendo
genre.
That's what we should be, right? I mean, because it's like, you remember growing up as a kid, because it's funny, because I can talk to people, about this, like, we grew up, I remember my brother, he was a little bit older than me, so my parents bought us the Encyclopedia Britannica to have, and we had in our living room, we had in our old house, my dad had this built-in bookshelf in and so it wasn't pull out your phone and Google what kind of snake that was, go look at the encyclopedia and bust it open. But then now we also are in that phase where, like, technology, we can appreciate technology too, where these kids just think it's like a thing. Like my daughter, like, it's like with YouTube and stuff, she's like, Daddy, I want to watch YouTube. I'm like, honey, if you knew, we had limited cartoon time, maybe Nickelodeon, but then Nickelodeon would turn Nick at night. Right. So it's funny, we have that appreciation. But I think what's cool about this generation that we're in, we can relate to both.
I think it was cool that we weren't. It wasn't. We didn't rely on it.
No,
it was an added bonus.
It was a luxury.
You definitely were a loser if you didn't have Nintendo.
Right.
I mean, but then the Super Nintendo, I didn't have that shit.
So that was my first game system.
You had the Super Nintendo?
So yeah, my older brother and I got Super Nintendo. It was like the coolest thing when because my brother and I are like, you're in between my brother and I, older brother and I's age. And it's funny, my little brother, he's a lot younger than my older brother and I, and he was born in the 90s. So, it's kind of funny. We kind of helped raise him in a way. He's coming to
you got three
brothers. I'm the middle of three.
Wow.
So my little brother, my older brother, it's funny because I'm an avid.
Are they all big like you?
I'm actually the big one out of the group. So my older brother, I love you, Steve. He looks up to me. My little brother looks up to me a little bit. My little brother's pretty tall. So my older brother's
the
so my little brother's probably like 6'1". Steve's probably 5'10".
Where'd you get your height from? Is it your dad or
so
mom?
my mom's like 5'8", 5'7". My dad's 6 foot. So I guess it just So my daughter's probably tall. My wife's 5'11". And so,
can you tell when they're young if they're going to be tall?
People are just saying, "Gosh, your daughter's so tall." So I'm thinking she'll be like 5'11", like her mom. But So
you're the tall one of the.
I'm the tall one. I'm the I was the one that got my my brother. It's funny because I'm kind of the odd one out. I have my dad's dark hair.
Okay.
I have all my dad's features. But then my older brother and little brother, they have my mom's features, so they're a little bit lighter complected, and so it's funny because they're like, you can tell we're brothers, but I'm kind of the outcast.
Right. Did they ball too? Did they bat?
It's unique. We're all unique in our own ways, I guess. We're all different. So my older brother Steve, he played ball and stuff, but he kind of after middle school, he kind of let it go and kind of got into more. He was more into politics. He's a businessman. He's a.
Where is he at now?
He's in South Tampa. He's a partner in a medical distribution company. And he owns a real cool sports memorabilia shop down in South Tampa. And then, I'm here in Flagler living life. And then my little brother, he's working over at Halifax and he's doing his thing. He's got, my little niece's birthday's next week. So she'll be getting ready to turn 5. And so, we're each,
what are you? Are you called Uncle Sherman?
Uncle Jim, and my wife's auntie. So, and then my little brother, he was a skater. So it's so funny. He knew this is kind of how small this area is, over Volusia Flagler area. My little brother said to me, "Hey, your neighbor across the street, he used to work at CCS in the mall." I said, "What are you talking about, CCS? Dad used to take me there to buy all my skateboard stuff." And sure enough, I said, "Andrew, did you work at CCS?" He's like, "Yeah." My little brother said he remembers you from there. And, again, it's that small town feel. And so he's like
our mall, Volusia Mall.
The Volusia Mall, right? Yeah. So like that, it's really cool. But we're all unique in our own ways. But
they know about your going for this.
Oh yeah. So they
bust your balls a little bit.
A little bit. My parents are like, "You're brave for again. You might be a little crazy for doing it." But again, I think I'm really truly want to just make sure that we have our as Flagwood Beach, we have our seat at the table with and make sure that people, again, it comes to that part of educating and just kind of, I hate to say take Flagler Beach back a little bit, but kind of in a way take Flagler Beach back and kind of in a way of like educating people again, kind of like when I kind of go full circle with the Hawaii thing is like the locals there, they really truly they wanted to, again, maybe I could see the frustration, maybe like where you and I might get frustrated on certain things with the people, like I said, parking on the dunes. That's how it is for the locals out there in Hawaii. They want you to come there and enjoy it, but also respect.
Well, it's just like what Ken Bryant did with the cigarette things.
Exactly.
God.
It's amazing.
When I see people using them, I'm like, I love it.
Oh, it's amazing. We can use that.
For those that don't know, Ken Bryant, our one of the city commissioners, made it his duty to get. I'm almost positive too. It was granted. Like he's
got a lot of
sweat equity.
He does, and he's out there putting them in, and he's gonna the park benches.
Oh yeah,
recycled materials, and he got that for a donation from
the renourishment area of the pier with the flowers and all that. But he advocated, and he moves quickly too. He doesn't. It's like, oh, we're gonna do it. He was able to get these cigarette butt recycling machine thingies. And you put them in there and Scooby-Doo. Yeah. And I see them everywhere, and I love watching people use them. Yeah. There's one at Turtle. They're everywhere, and I love you for that. So
absolutely, and that's another thing too. Is like, I want to make sure we're keeping Flagler Beach green. Mm-hmm. I want us to be a green community. And again, Carla Klein, amazing individual. She has that force, because we've had her and I have had a few conversations about that. And she actually brought that up at the FB3 meeting about, hey, why don't we look at designing some, bags, and and I understand right now cost is a big thing, but we'll grow with the times, and but those are things we can do. But I think one of the I jokingly I said to people, but there's some seriousness to it too. Is like, let's get these Brazilian peppers out of here. What can we do to control what we can in Flagler Beach and really make our environment greener as well? And I think we've got some really.
Those that don't know, it's an invasive plant.
Exactly.
Something in it.
They got the berries.
I got them all over the place.
Yeah, they're not fun.
They're bad for wildlife. Bad for this. Look, man, is there anything that we didn't?
I think you. Oh no, man, this is awesome. Thanks for the time. Yeah. No, this was actually the
haters out there. Man. Every third or fourth show.
Yeah.
I hope you'll see this response. A lot of people will reach out to you. They'll get a lot of messages. Absolutely. But I still have people they make it they make a comment that I have like a thing or something.
It's
live too.
This is awesome, man.
It's not live. You must live.
This is live, and live here in Flagler Beach. But this was an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, man.
I'm so grateful for you giving me this platform to get my message out there right before Election Day. And Flagler Beach, I want you guys to know I'm in it with you guys. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to listen. I'm here to give back to the community that's given my family for, my wife's family and my family for almost over 40 years.
Awesome.
So much. And, I thanked my mother-in-law and father-in-law yesterday. I said, thank you guys for giving me this opportunity to call Flagler Beach my home, and I'm indebted to them for that, to be able to allow, that they found this place. Right. And my life paralleled with my wife's, and we kind of were able to, the stars aligned for us. And it's almost like, now it's my turn to give back to this community that's, again, just given so much to my family. And, hopefully we keep it this way that, for my daughter too. Yep. And again, we also have people that come here, respect the town, are willing, pay for parking. Hey, if we have to go to that route to help you and I too, because why should we be the only ones that have to foot the bill for certain things? So, that's what I really want to make sure is that people, that I want to make sure that we try to keep our taxes at a low, but also find ways of other revenues to get us the ability to pay for some of the infrastructure things that we have coming.
Get Chief a raise.
That's right. Again, if you don't have, we have some really amazing individuals in this small town. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes us unique. People like you, people like Johnny, people like Carla, Chief Downey, Eric and Susie and Ken and Deborah and anybody that's willing to serve on the commission. We have some really amazing people, that just really are invested and love where they live. And I know there's residents here that are so proud to live here. And, there's a few things in my life that I'm really proud of. And that's been one of the things I love being a dad. I love knowing that I served in the Marine Corps. I love that I went to Embry-Riddle, and I love that I live here in Flagler Beach. Yep. And I want to keep this, kind of be help safeguard what we have here, preserve it. But, what do we have to do that? And I feel like that's where having a seat at the table there and having a vote will maybe help me be able to do some of those things.
Well, I'm proud of you. And those that know me well, I took this saying from Jay Shears, so I love you for this, but I use it a lot. I'm relational, not transactional, and I'm a friend first. You got a bestie in me, brother.
Oh, well, thank you, Chenzo.
Flagler Beach will be our bond for life.
Absolutely.
And your family is my family, and this calendar is this table's your table. So I appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to help supporting you and like for those that can vote here locally, March 8th, I will be there. I don't vote by mail. It's some old school, so I'll be there. And will you be out there? Actually,
I'll be out there. I'm going to be out there. I've got some wonderful people
right.
that are going to be there with me. Evan and Gail are going to come out and help me out, and I'm going to have a few other people. So yeah, come out. Maybe I'll, you guys want to come out and say hey, or
But just first Friday too is an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're on the fence, come see me first Friday. Email me. We'll talk.
Right.
Let's talk. And why that. Really true. I'm passionate about this thing, and I'm all in, and I would be it'd be probably one of the most honorable things I could ever do in my life is to serve the people here in Flagler Beach, because it's not about me, it's about all of us. And again, I truly am invested in this place, and it's, some people say, oh, is this just a launch pad for, no, I have zero intentions of going to Tallahassee someday, zero intentions of trying to go up to Washington, DC.
Right.
It is, the only concerns I have really are, FB. That's right. Flagler Beach. And that's where beyond that, you're not getting anything else from me other than that. You're getting somebody that's just truly loves this place and is committed to, respecting, the past and trying to preserve it. And, do that working with amazing people like you and all, the other people we've mentioned over this podcast, over this discussion. And March 8th, I'll serve you guys faithfully, and maybe we might not agree
look for the
on
tall
everything.
guy.
Yeah, look,
tall guy. You think?
Yeah. Just look for me, goofy guy out there with a red hat on, maybe, or blue hat. Depends on the day of the week. We'll see what color.
It works too. I noticed that tall people usually are influential.
I hope
it's true.
Yeah.
I've noticed that growing up. This adulting thing is unique, and tall people have they're usually important. I mean, look at Shaq, man. Shaq. I love that Shaq is still in every marketing piece that we grow up, no matter what. And it doesn't bother me.
No.
Isn't it funny? He could do the general insurance. He does. And it never bothers me seeing him rep a business or brand, because I'm like, it means that they got to be somewhat human, because he really stands for morals.
Absolutely.
And he's just cool. So
yeah,
you're like our Flagler Shaq, bro.
Well, it's funny you say Shaq. Shaq was my hero in the 90s.
Yes.
But then when he left, I'm a huge Orlando Magic fan. My heart still breaks. Nick Anderson missing those free throws in the 1995 finals.
Do you remember the shoes he had that were circle black and white? Me too.
I had the zebra-looking ones, right? Yeah. I think my parents would kill me. I think I had them on. You had your school shoes.
Yes,
shoes, right?
Of course.
My friend and I, my buddy, whose birthday, Garrett's birthday today, we had a bridge that would go underneath where we lived on. We lived on Reed Canal in South Daytona. Worn under the bridge, and I got that. You know how that mud is on the intercoastal like that. Oh my gosh,
Shaquille O'Neal.
What are you thinking?
I only got one pair of school shoes.
Yep.
But I love that.
Yeah,
we could go all day.
We could. And I appreciate it, Chenzo.
We'll wrap it up.
Flagler Beach, thank you.
Yeah, we did it.
Thanks, buddy.
See, I don't think we even got kicked off. We didn't do Instagram.
That's awesome. Oh, we got 9 comments.